Chapter 1587. Arrive at the Abyss. Chapter 1587. Arrive at the Abyss. Underscore. The endless abyss. A rainbow-like band of light zoomed over from the void, reaching the thick sea of clouds. Many people were riding that rainbow. When it landed, they emerged one after another. They were Shi Yin, Han Tian, Ziyao, and the others. The endless abyss was icy cold and dead silent, without the aura of living creatures. Deep in the gray void were the fiery rocks that rained down furiously, falling into so many dark abysses. After arriving there, they all released their soul consciousness. However, all they sensed was a blank space with no end in their range of perception. This place was the bottom of the universe. Rumors had that it was an area that forbade creatures because it was the place of spirits, shattered stars, and vanishing territories. The present people pulled themselves together and observed, indeed finding many planets falling and territories cracking like bursting rubber balls, all falling into those abysses. So, this place is the endless abyss? A place that forbids creatures from entering? Meiji was the last one who arrived. She frowned as rays of light were shooting from her eyes like cold electricity. I don't see anything special here. Shi Yin stood in the middle of the crowd, stepping on a five-colored, auspicious cloud. He squinted as he was using his soul consciousness to explore. He suddenly had a strange but magical feeling he couldn't explain. He felt he had been here a long, long time ago. This feeling puzzled him, as it was somehow unimaginable. Thus, he didn't tell anybody and just stayed skeptical himself. Nobody's here. As Sauron's invited us several times and how urging he was, I think he should be guarding this place. Montesi wore a pure white dress, her little figure as cute as a little angel. She circled the area, and when she got back to her starting point, she had an awkward face. Han Tian and Hero were also perplexed. Before they came, they had thought that they would bump into Sauron or Yuanzu's team. Hence, they had prepared for an instant fight. Those fellows are right here, but they are hiding well, I assume. Ziyao said with a calm face, we don't need to mind them. Even if they are here, they won't disturb us. They will facilitate us anyway, until Shi Yin uses the power Upanishad symbol tower to open the absolute beginning gateway, which is when they will show up. Hearing that, everybody understood the situation. The power Upanishad symbol tower Shi Yin got was an important factor, and indeed the key, to open the absolute beginning gateway. To Sauron, Devour, and Yuanzu, Shi Yin was the main element who must get to the absolute beginning gateway and open it. After that, they could carry out their plans. Everybody who desired to enter the absolute beginning gateway needed Shi Yin to open it. Thus, before he did anything and before the absolute beginning gateway opened, even if they were in the endless abyss, they would try their best to hide and restrain themselves. They must smoothen the way for Shi Yin. Everything was to open the absolute beginning gateway. So, before the absolute beginning gateway opens, we don't need to worry about anything? Han Tian guffawed. He quieted down immediately, relaxing his stiff neck. Then, we will fight them after we get through the absolute beginning gateway. We can relax for now. He's right, we don't need to be cautious now. Don't make your nerves so tense. Shi Yin looked in a direction while talking to Ziyao. Over there, is it? Right? Ziyao had strange lights in her eyes as she was quite surprised. You can feel it? Not me. Shi Yin shook his head. As the others were amazed, he pointed at his head. It's the power Upanishad symbol tower. It vaguely shows me the way. As soon as we got here, it began to wiggle as if it wanted to run away from my head. It's a little agitated. Ziyao's eyes brightened as she hissed, Sauron does have some abilities. If you say so, it's true that the absolute beginning gateway is about to open. Otherwise, your power Upanishad symbol tower wouldn't act strangely. Pausing slightly, she pulled a solemn face while lowering her voice. Then, we shouldn't ponder anymore. Let's go to the absolute beginning gateway first. Then, she stepped on the rainbow, heading toward the direction Shi Yin had shown. The rainbow glided above many mysterious and deep abysses without a pause, connecting them and creating a magnificent scene. People exchanged looks as they calmly followed the rainbow, sliding above the mysterious dark abysses. Numerous planets were falling above their heads like a fiery rain. As the warriors had used their power to create the shields, the fiery rains exploded, sending up so many radiant sparks. Forefather Dragon Lizard, Meiji, and Emperor Sea Shark had to slow down under the rain of broken planets. Meiji's beautiful face was now heavy, sweat beading her smooth forehead. Cold mist hovered around her, freezing her protection halo. However, her halo was thinned out under the continuous attacks. It looked fragile, as if it could be broken at any second. At this moment, she finally knew why Shi Yin didn't want to bring her here. He was just looking out for her. If she were still at the first sky of Territory Ancestor Realm, she couldn't have resisted the fiery rain from the void. She would drain her god power soon, which would expose her body. The flaming shooting pieces would then bombard her body into a dough. Your competence does not seem enough. Shi Yin turned around and halted. As he released his energy, the fiery rain above Meiji sizzled inside the vortexes he had released. After several seconds, the fiery stars congregate into 7 crystalline, bright stars that were as big as mountains. Instantly, Shi Yin carved his soul consciousness on them, making them Meiji's guarding stars hovering around her body. As soon as the 7 stars were created, layers of magnificent starlight fell like a rain curtain, shrouding Meiji entirely. The fragments of broken planets that fell from the sky would avoid Meiji on their own. They didn't hit Meiji's halo anymore, so she didn't need to consume energy any longer. Meiji got rid of the danger, and her pale face regained colors as she didn't need to use her god power anymore. Her watery eyes contained passion as she glanced at Shi Yin. She didn't say thanks, but licked her succulent lips. Shi Yin burst out laughing, shaking his head. Don't think too much. Protect your spirit to recover fast. Meiji smiled while flying toward him as she swallowed some aromatic pellets. Got it. Well, only the beauties get the treats. Old Shark and I won't have such treatment. We have to risk our lives to resist that mighty power. Forefather Dragon Lizard grinned, his laugher husky. As he was flying together with Emperor Sea Shark behind Meiji, they obviously had seen her difficult situation. They had joined hands to help her. However, right before they took action, they saw 7 stars hover above her head, shielding her from the natural attack. It wasn't long since Emperor Sea Shark and Forefather Dragon Lizard had reached the second sky of Territory Ancestor Realm, so it was a little beyond their competence to endure the fiery rain. Sometimes, they had to dodge when a shattered territory was falling, which was why they were at the end of the group now. Montesi, Hero, and Han Tian had followed Ziyao closely and had disappeared already. To those experts who had entered the second sky of Territory Ancestor Realm for tens of thousands of years, destroying an entire territory was a simple task. Thus, they weren't troubled by the shooting flaming fragments. Moreover, as Shi Yin had their backs, they weren't really worried. You seek for trouble yourself? You shouldn't have visited this endless abyss. Of course, as you are here, you should expect dangers. Shi Yin smiled. Seeing Meiji approach, he didn't hurry to move as he waited for Forefather Dragon Lizard and Emperor Sea Shark and continued. Actually, you guys shouldn't have come. Even Han Tian, Hero, and the others aren't really confident, since we don't know what's behind the absolute beginning gateway. Only God knows if we can return alive. Well, we must vie for it, right? Emperor Sea Shark said calmly and coldly. In the absolute beginning era, even Desolate and Devour wanted to risk their lives for the absolute beginning gateway. In our era, Sauron has planned for tens of thousands of years. We can say for sure, something really magical is over there. So, if we have a chance to go there, why wouldn't we seize it? I want to reach my ancestors' realm to promote my bloodline. I need to go there. Forefather Dragon Lizard sounded serious, then suddenly sighed. It's hard to predict the future. When I met you on Dragon Lizard Star, you were at the incipient God realm. After hundreds of years, you have reached the third sky of Territory Ancestor Realm. Although I've known you would have a bright future, I couldn't believe that you could reach this level. Right? Meiji smiled charmingly. I also knew him at your place. At that time, I wanted to kill him to get Desolate Soul Clone. I didn't expect to obtain that terrifying result. While chasing after him, I was sinking. Shi Yin had urged his power to make the broken planets give them way as the four of them chatted along the way to the absolute beginning gateway. After a long time, Shi Yin received Ziyao's soul message and he said, "We must hurry up. Ziyao's team has arrived already. They're worried if we got into any troubles." Hearing that, they stopped laughing and chatting. As Shi Yin poured more energy, they all accelerated. After a long time, they stopped by a massive abyss that looked like a spacious, cold, and dark lake. The outer layer of the abyss was like a mirror, with billions of absolute beginning symbols flashing and wiggling like a pool of tadpoles. In every second, they changed into a new formation. Everything was so absurd and mysterious. Ziyao's team was waiting for them right in front of the deep abyss. They all wore a stern face as they watched those absolute beginning symbols. As soon as Shi Yin arrived, he felt shaken as the power Upanishads symbol tower flew out and hovered above his head uncontrollably. The power Upanishads symbol tower abruptly shot radiant rays of light, while all the windows on the tower sprang open. Countless absolute beginning symbols flew out of the tower like a cloud of spirits, heading toward the absolute beginning gateway. Everybody's eyes were brightened with magical lights, feeling excited after seeing the abyss. Chapter 1588. Open the Gate. Chapter 1588. Open the Gate. Another corner of the endless abyss. A jet of blinding light crossed the air and thrust it into one of the abysses. Just like a vortex or a revolving lake, a terrifying deranged fate power emerged. Swish! Sauron walked out of that abyss. He was wearing an old-style silver robe, his hair tied up into a bun. He looked calm and cold like a scholar with ease and natural poise. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and eyed the absolute beginning gateway in the distance, his eyes getting brighter. Shadows hovered from that abyss. They were Zhenru, Cantisi, Fandalay, and some experts of other clans. All of them were at the territory ancestor realm. Those people had come to follow Sauron, betting their fate and the future of the clan on Sauron. Are they here yet? Zhenru's eyes sparkled with cold light. She clenched her jaw. We've been waiting for so long. They should be here. Sauron's face was indifferent. Yeah, Shi Yin is heading to the absolute beginning gateway. They will get there shortly. Then what are we waiting for? Hissed Zhenru. Sauron didn't care about her. He lifted his head to look at the void where a flow of light was falling. He released a wisp of soul consciousness. Then he smiled faintly. Let's go. A massive roulette emerged from that abyss, which was inlaid with gold, silver, iron, rock, gemstones, and diamonds. However, it was unknown what this roulette was made of as it was releasing bright gold halos. The roulette then enlarged until it was as big as an island with many lines crossing each other on the surface. However, those lines weren't still. They could move like human meridians or heavenly rivers. As soon as the roulette appeared, everybody felt insecure as if their futures were under someone's control, their fates tied. The roulette of fate. This was a divine weapon that didn't exist in the absolute beginning era. Sauron had forged it himself. Everything in this world, including the immense territories and living creatures, had a string of fate that could be connected and searched by the roulette of fate. As soon as the roulette of fate appeared, it hovered underneath Sauron. The roulette then took everybody and moved fiercely towards the absolute beginning gateway. Boom, boom, boom. As the fragmented planets and shattering territories fell from the sky and hit the roulette of fate, they became dust instantly and turned into pure energy before vanishing. Zhenru, Cantisi, and Fandalay stood on the massive roulette, but they all felt a twinge in their souls, as if they had a tense string in their souls that could break in any minute. They were all frightened as they looked at Sauron, their souls restlessly insecure. They suddenly recognized that as long as the roulette of fate confined their string of fate in their souls, once it was pulled broken, their souls would vanish instantly. Another corner. A black tunnel was created in the void. It twisted and changed into a swallowing black hole. Edgar, Rupert, Serene Prison, and Yuan Zhu walked out from that black hole. Sharp lights radiated from their eyes, proving that their powers were increasing fast. Yuan Zhu was in his human form. After getting out of the black hole, he gave it a complicated look and said, "Long time no see. I never thought that we would finally meet up again at the ending of an era." The black hole suddenly shrank into a black dot and exploded. A figure emerged with darkness shrouding him. This person was a black shadow, and no one could see his facial features or body. As soon as he appeared, the starlight around was extinguished. All the sources of light were swallowed. The entire world became darker. Edgar of the Devouring Clan stood respectfully when he saw the black shadow as he was filled with fear. That was Devour, his clan's ancestor. The entire members of his Devouring Clan were born from this man's blood and soul. In desolate territory, Hui, and Desolate went dormant. At that time, Desolate was divided into 5 parts. If you had the guts to get in there, at your realm, you could have refined his body piece by piece. Perhaps there would have been no Desolate later. Devour looked at Yuan Zhu. His voice was low and ghostly vague like crying souls, which wasn't pleasant to the ears. Unfortunately, you've always been a coward. You knew he was silenced in Desolate territory, but you didn't dare to intrude. Rupert and Serene Prison were surprised. When they looked at Yuan Zhu, they wore odd faces. Yuan Zhu wasn't enraged because he knew how terrifying the shadow in front of him was. He knew that this man was the nightmare of all creatures in the absolute beginning era. If Desolate hadn't been more prominent than him, this man would have been the Demogorgon of that time. In absolute beginning era, when Devour had his supreme power, Yuan Zhu had to dodge him. As time went by, when Devour hadn't recovered fully, Yuan Zhu had accumulated for an entire era. That's why he dares to stand in front of Devour without being worried about turning into ashes instantly by the devouring power. Desolate territory is his territory. In his territory, he's the sole god and the only god that can make rules. Yuan Zhu forced a smile and didn't try to conceal his fear. Especially when I knew that you and Hui were nearby too. How could I take risks? Devour snorted. You've been a coward for an entire era. How come you have the guts to come now? You didn't dare to go to the absolute beginning gateway to fight that year. Why do you dare to do it now? Yuan Zhu smiled calmly. Because you guys are weaker and I'm stronger now? Not much stronger than that year. Devour scrutinized him and spoke casually. Well, you're more cautious and sissy than you were that year. I hope you could stop Hui. I didn't expect you to offer more help. Yuan Zhu smiled and didn't try to quarrel. To his peers, he had always had good sense. Let's go to the absolute beginning gateway. That kid must have opened the absolute beginning gateway now. As the gate opened, his death is coming. I should retrieve that part of my devouring power Upanishad. Devour's voice was cold and harsh. Swallowing him, I will resume my supreme power. I will beat Desolate up. In front of the absolute beginning gateway, Shi Yin, Ziyao, Han Tian, Hero, and the others reunited. The absolute beginning gateway was also an abyss, the biggest one. The abyss had a surface like a black mirror where there were so many wiggling absolute beginning symbols. Within seconds, they could form thousands of complicated formations. However, no one could understand those mysterious formations. In absolute beginning era, the bloody, epic battle took place right here. Every time someone of my kind died, parts of those symbols moved. It seems like it requires so many deaths. Unfortunately, when we almost all died, it still remained closed. Ziyao looked at the absolute beginning gateway and mumbled, as the sea of stars had great changes. Race wars, shattered planets, collapsed territory. Everything is to open this gate. Sauron wasn't wrong. He has facilitated those symbols to revive them. Listening to her, people's initial doubts were cleared. The power Upanishad symbol tower was shining dazzlingly. Billions of symbols flew out and fell on that gate, connecting with the symbols down there. It seemed like they wanted to create some formation. Shi Yin didn't need to do anything. He just stood and watched the power Upanishad symbol tower do its job. At this moment, he had become an outsider. However, staying in this place, the familiar feeling he had became stronger. He felt that he saw this gate before, but as he tried to squeeze his memories, he didn't get anything. He didn't know that when his soul pierced through endless spaces to get to this world, he went through that gateway. However, at that time, he was in his soul form, which had left only vague pieces of his memories in his soul. As his soul was too fragile at that time, he couldn't remember anything. Boom! All of a sudden, the absolute beginning gateway burned furiously. So many absolute beginning symbols became fiery flames. At the same time, Shi Yan's host soul rolled in agony. Then, he turned into a lightning bolt and thrust it into the burning absolute beginning gateway. As people were watching, the absolute beginning gateway changed drastically into a massive flaming vortex, which had an extreme suction force. That suction force affected people's souls greatly. Shi Yan's body didn't listen to him and soared like a moth heading into a fire. Immediately, he stabbed through the eye of the fiery vortex. "Move!" Ziyao screamed, her eyes brighter than ever. She followed close behind Shi Yan and entered the vortex's eye. Han Tian and Hero were hesitant. However, seeing Ziyao depart, they immediately knew that the absolute beginning gateway had opened now. They didn't have time to contemplate and moved fast forward. Shortly after, the first group entered the vortex's eye one by one. From a closer look, that flaming vortex was created by countless absolute beginning symbols and powered by the power of the origins. The fiery vortex didn't cease after Shi Yan's team went through. Quite the contrary, it burned more furiously as if it would never extinguish. Boom, 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 boom. At the same time, extremely terrifying energy fluctuated from the abysses in this endless abyss. The energy even reached out toward the endless universe out there. Many areas of the sea domain of nihility collapsed continuously. More and more territories shattered for unknown reasons. Billions of creatures, including powerful experts from different clans, perished altogether in that moment. It begins. Sauron stood on the roulette of fate and mumbled. He accelerated the roulette. As the abysses were exploding, Devour and Yuan Zhu brought Serene Prison and the others, moving fast. Devour and Yuan Zhu were shaken continuously as the blood and flesh in their absolute beginning bodies boiled. Deep in the sky, a cyan lightning ball with immense vitality plunged all of a sudden. Vaguely, the cyan lightning ball contained the earth-towering life-soul tree. That tree filled every corner of the lightning ball and released thick vitality. Desolate was also punctual. Chapter 1589, Principle of Power Upanishads. Chapter 1589, Principle of Power Upanishads. _ It was a dark gray vacuum area. There was no source of light, life, movement of air, or anything. There was nothing. Shi Yan, Ziyao, and the others had come to such a world. After getting through the absolute beginning gateway, people landed in this area. There was no way back either. All they could see was nothing, and it was silent. Their soul consciousness couldn't reach any life. Everything was so cold and silent. Is it the place that every creature wants to visit even in their dreams? Meiji was puzzled and watching around. It seemed like she couldn't accept this. There's nothing here. Yeah, nothing is here. So strange. Judy flew around and checked. When she came back, she shook her head in surprise. Is something wrong? Perhaps the absolute beginning gateway has delivered us to another region? People didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Shi Yan looked pensive as he was using his soul consciousness to explore further. He didn't answer them. Ziyao was skeptical. She looked around, but she didn't have a clue. Listening to the others, she suddenly intervened. Then what did you think is hidden behind the absolute beginning gateway? What will you find there? Everyone was silent. After a while, Forefather Dragon Lizard talked softly. I thought that there would be something that can help me transform into a real absolute beginning creature behind the absolute beginning gateway. It could help me reach my ancestor's shape that year through his blood in my body. I thought that it would have the true secret of time. Montesi's childish voice arose. I thought I could find something to advance the territory ancestor realm further. It's what rumors are all about. It's to get the ultimate realm after entering the absolute beginning gateway, isn't it? Han Tian said in a low voice. He asked the others, but it felt like he was asking himself. What dragon lizard, Montesi, and Han Tian said were dreams that they had treasured in their heart and the final goals they wanted to reach. They had placed their biggest hope on the absolute beginning gateway and dreamed of achieving their goal through the absolute beginning gateway. Too bad that there's nothing here. Meiji sounded upset. What do you want? Xiao asked with a faint smile. I don't know. Meiji unconsciously turned to Shi Yin, who was absorbed in his thoughts, and whined inwardly. I'm here because I wanted to follow him. I want to experience things with him. Hero, Emperor Sea Shark, and Judy were also disappointed. They hovered in the empty space and didn't know what to do. He will give you the answers, Xiao smiled. Everybody turned to look at Shi Yin. Until now, they finally realized that Shi Yin didn't answer or join in their conversation. As the owner of the Power Upanishad symbol tower, the key to opening the absolute beginning gateway, only he could know the mysteries of this place to solve their doubts. Focusing on him, people saw the soul energy fluctuate from him continuously. He frowned and looked pensive. Their eyes then brightened as they hoped that Shi Yin could give them an answer. Shi Yin's soul consciousness was gliding fast away. Just like a column of invisible electricity, his soul zoomed forward to explore the empty space. He relaxed and didn't mind the surroundings, his soul quiet and clear. The Power Upanishad symbol tower was like a lighthouse that covered his co-soul and shone some bright but mysterious light. That light had helped him attack Shinru and shoo her away. That light was magical light that the Power Upanishad symbol tower told him was the light shot from Absolute Beginning's eyes when they opened. After it opened the Absolute Beginning gateway, the Power Upanishad symbol tower changed. So many Absolute Beginning symbols on it disappeared. At this moment, the Power Upanishad symbol tower was crystal and fulgent, which looked both marvelous and imposing. It flew above Shi Yan's co-soul. A series of memories in his soul were gathering under the light. He knew that the co-soul had Desolate's memory. However, as they were just 2/5 of it, those pieces of scattered memories were unreadable to him. However, at this moment, those pieces of memories began to emerge clearly as if they were stimulated somehow. Perhaps even Desolate couldn't understand them, as they had existed only in the true mark of the most powerful creature. They were the traces and marks that would never be erased. A strange connection that couldn't be described arose from his tier of Power Upanishad, or from the Life Original symbol, to be exact. The crystal ball of Life Power Upanishad had an original symbol refined by the Power Upanishad symbol tower, which recorded the immense and profound powers of life. At this moment, the Life Original symbol was throbbing vigorously like a heart. It shook the entire crystal ball. A string of life that reached to an extremely far away was released from the life ball. With Shi Yan's soul consciousness, it flew in a precise direction. Boom! An explosion echoed in his head as a wisp of his soul consciousness shot into a milky white sea. Extremely thick life aura permeated from that sea. Life, energy fluctuations, heartbeat, the birth of souls, the creation of creatures, and the growth of trees. All magical energy fluctuations of life power Upanishad rolled torrentially from that milky sea. That sea seemed to be the source of life. It was the life sea that represented all ultimate secrets of Life Power Upanishad, as it carried the principle of Life Power Upanishad. This sea was the origin of all Life Power Upanishads. The original symbol in his crystal ball belonged to that sea and was a part of that sea. Each drop in that sea was a representative of a branch of Life Power Upanishad. As soon as this thought popped up, Shi Yin was dumbstruck. His empty soul became turbulent. Billions of soul consciousness wisps returned. Because of his chaotic mind, they turned into invisible lights and entered his soul pond in his sea of consciousness, waking him up. The wisp of soul consciousness that had explored the milky sea was the last wisp. The wonderful feeling he couldn't describe vanished shortly after. As people were watching him, Shi Yin shivered hard. They all knew that Shi Yin had just retrieved his soul consciousness. Opened his eyes, Shi Yin was terrified. He couldn't help but take a deep breath. Divine lights shot like electric beams in his eyes as he shouted, "What's that? What? The others screamed instinctively, including Ziyao. You. What did you get? Ziyao pulled herself together first. Trying to subside the curiosity churning in her heart, she asked in her calmest voice, "What happened? What struck you? Did your soul consciousness see something that shook you hard? What's that?" "A sea, a milky sea. It's not really big and it's too far away from here. That sea seems to resonate with my life original symbol. That sea contains all supernatural abilities of life power Upanishad. My original symbol is just a drop of that sea, a tiny part of it." Sure Yin tried to describe, but he sounded like he was sleep-talking. "I don't know how to describe it precisely. I felt that the sea was the fountainhead of all life power Upanishads in this world. Every principle, understandings, and studies about the life power Upanishads have originated from that sea." Everybody listened to him, their faces perplexed. They didn't know what he was trying to tell them. They had no idea what milky sea he was talking about. Only Ziyao had light danced crazily in her eyes, her graceful body quivering. It seemed like she knew something. After a while, as people were still baffled, Ziyao stopped shaking and the strange light in her eyes vanished. Her lips trembled as she tried to say calmly, "If your feeling isn't wrong, it's the life sea, the power Upanishad origin, the fountainhead of all life power Upanishads." Power Upanishad origin? Han Tian rubbed his disheveled bird nest-like hair. He winced and cried, "I think I heard about this. Someone told me about the Upanishad origin. Damn it. What is it? What does it mean?" Power Upanishad origin. Montesi suddenly screamed hoarsely. She choked on her own breath, her little face filled with deep fear. Is it the power Upanishad origin? The legendary power Upanishad origin? Gosh, such things exist. What is it after all? Han Tian hollered. The power Upanishad origin has many different names. For example, the power Upanishad symbol tower's ultimate principle, power Upanishad symbol tower's principle, scared principle, and more. It's the final form of power Upanishads and also the origin of the power Upanishads. The power Upanishad origin keeps all changes and mysterious powers of a particular power Upanishad. If all the absolute beginning creatures were created by absolute beginning, and if absolute beginning exists, the power Upanishad origin will be the power Upanishads in absolute beginnings tier of power Upanishads. Ziyao looked at the others. Her face had never been so furious. Fusing a power Upanishad origin is to control the natural principle of that power and to understand every change and supernatural abilities of that power Upanishad. You will become the soul, supreme god of that power Upanishad. Hearing him, everybody was dumbstruck. They kept silent and thought about Ziyao's words. Shortly after, everyone's eyes brightened as they were so excited. They eyed Ziyao and Shi Yin, waiting for their final confirmation. "I know you want an answer. Yeah, if absolute beginning did exist, I think we're in its head. And now, we are in its tier of power Upanishad. This place has the power Upanishad origin of all power Upanishads. It's the root of principle and the most magical thing in this world. If you can find the principle of your power Upanishads here and get the power Upanishad origin, you will become the sole god of that particular power Upanishads. You will get the supernatural abilities that no one could imagine," confirmed Shi Yin. Everybody cheered up boisterously. "All power Upanishad origins are here, but you have to find them yourself," added Ziyao. "You have to find them with your own power Upanishad. We got here before the others. It means that we have the advantage. We must hurry to find the power Upanishad origins and fuse with them. Otherwise, when Sauron, Devour, and Yuan Zhu come, the fierce battle will start. Guys, we have to go with the flow. Guys, go and get your power Upanishad origin." Shi Yin grinned. Then, he nodded to them and turned into a jet of light heading in the direction he had just figured out. He got the target first. That life sea was the power Upanishad origin of the life power Upanishad. As long as he had that power Upanishad origin, his life power Upanishad was going to reach the ultimate level, the most magical and final realm the warrior cultivating life power Upanishad could reach. Chapter 1590, The So-Called Opportunity. Chapter 1590, the so-called opportunity. Underscore. As Shi Yin departed, the others didn't hesitate anymore. Even though they didn't know the exact location, they began to scatter. The place they had lingered in for a while was the threshold of the absolute beginning gateway. Thus, it didn't have any wonder. Moreover, Shi Yin had also said that the life sea was pretty far away. They naturally thought that the power Upanishad origin of their power Upanishads shouldn't be right at the threshold. Perhaps it would be very far from here. As they cultivated different power Upanishads, the relative power Upanishad origin would be different too. That was why they couldn't pair or group to explore around. From this place, Han Tian, Hero, Montesi, and the others scattered as they urged their power Upanishads and soul consciousness to sense and search. As long as they spotted some resonance or familiar energy, they would take action immediately. Han Tian, Judy, Gay, and Dracula glided through the empty space, trying to find the power Upanishad origin of their power Upanishads. However, they hadn't found anything yet. There was no sun, moon, star, or any source of light. There was no notion of time here. Everybody was trying to search harder. One day, a golden light emitted from Hero's body as he was releasing his soul consciousness, which rippled toward a very far place. All of a sudden, the original symbol in his tier of power Upanishads sent him a tiny vibe. Hero was shaken. He immediately withdrew his other wisps of soul consciousness and dashed in the direction the original symbol had sensed. After an unknown amount of time, Hero had golden electric beams running in his eyes as he screamed and disappeared shortly. Hero was different from Han Tian and Judy, as he got an original symbol gifted by Shi Yin. That original symbol was generated by the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower, and the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower was the key to open this place. Apparently, they had a subtle and magical connection. Because of that original symbol, he was the first expert in this group who obtained something. Behind him, Meiji with the ice original symbol and Emperor C Shark with the water original symbol also had some decent findings. After a long time of searching, their respective original symbols sent them a resonance when they got near to their power Upanishad origin. Finally, they had found the right direction for their search. One particular day, after a long time of flying, Hero finally reached a strange area. It was a mountain levitating in the empty void, looking like it was cast from hundreds of types of metals. The mountain flanks contained different abilities of the metal power Upanishad. The mountain hovered alone in the void. Besides Hero and the mountain, there was only nothingness in this place. Hero turned into a jet of metal light, descending on the mountain. The moment he landed, his head was shaken hard. The bright gold original symbol was struggling, trying to get rid of Hero to merge with the mountain and become a little rock over there. This feeling was so intense, but Hero was thrilled. He had to try his best to stop the original symbol while eyeing the mountain, thinking hard how to obtain it. Pretty far from him, Meiji was shivering in thrill. Her body emitted ice and mist, releasing a terrifyingly cold air. In front of her was the perpetual glacier that existed everywhere. Standing here, she suddenly felt touched. The original symbol in her head had turned into a snowflake, dancing restlessly as if it wanted to merge with the glacier over there. In another place, Emperor Sea Shark was facing a different world. It was a water drop, a very, very massive water drop. Hovering by that water drop, Emperor Sea Shark seemed so minute. The hovering water drop had the sloshing and murmuring sounds of water. Emperor Sea Shark felt so comfortable when he saw that drop of water, his soul calm and comfortable. As he cultivated the water power Upanishad, he felt that he belonged to that water drop, and the original symbol he had was also a drop of water that should be one with that massive drop. He looked at the water drop and saw so many forms and abilities of the water power Upanishad. Just standing here had brought him a deeper knowledge of water. If his original symbol didn't float and fly away from his tier of power Upanishad to merge with that water drop, perhaps he would just stand here to learn more about water power Upanishad. Hero, Meiji, and Emperor Sea Shark all had an original symbol each, which came from the Power Upanishad Symbol Tower. Perhaps because of this, their sensitivity toward the Power Upanishad origin had become more precise. After a long time of searching, They all had something to harvest. They had reached the fountainhead of their respective power Upanishads, but they hadn't taken action yet. They were considering and finding the precise way to fuse with the power Upanishad origin. At the same time, Pantheon, Judy, and Dracula were also searching. Since they didn't have an original symbol, it was more difficult for them. Hence, it seemed that they would have to depend on their fortune. Montesi also had bad luck. Even though she had an original symbol, she had deviated from the right route to the time power Upanishad origin. Thus, she was getting farther and farther from it. Ziyao was looking for her power Upanishad origin, surfing through the blank space aimlessly. After an unknown time, she finally halted, her face looking serious. She observed her side and found a black vortex as deep as a dark cave, with 8 islands forming an octagonal ring to cover it. A terrifying, evil energy gushed from that black vortex, subduing people's mind. Just after the first glance, Ziyao was shaken hard. She immediately understood that the black vortex and the 8 islands were related to Devour's power Upanishads. This place was the fountainhead of the devouring power Upanishad and the other 8 evil powers. They were also Shuriyan's power Upanishads. Ziyao was baffled for a while. She moved further from that black vortex and released her soul consciousness to call Shuriyan, who should fuse with this power Upanishad origin. If Devour found this place and merged with the power Upanishad origin, his realm would rocket incredibly. At that time, Devour would become Shuriyan's nightmare. He would swallow the latter easily, making him a nutrient for his power. Ziyao stopped searching for her power Upanishad origin and instead continually expanded her soul consciousness to find Shuriyan. Unfortunately, even though her soul consciousness was superb, she couldn't cover this place entirely to locate Shuriyan and send him the information. She became nervous and wondered if she could leave this place and go find Shuriyan. However, she was worried because she couldn't find any landmark here. Shuriyan, Hero, Meiji, and Emperor Sea Shark could find the power Upanishad origin because of the original symbol in their heads. But once she left this place, she would get lost, and it wouldn't be easy to find it again. While she was hesitating, some shadows appeared in a remote corner of this place. Those shadows slowly materialized. The leader of this group was Sauron in his archaic, silver robe, which made him look like a great sage. As soon as he arrived, he closed his eyes while soul energy rippled furiously from his body. Jinru, Candace, Fandalay, and some other experts reacted exactly like Meiji and Hantion at that time. They were so bewildered when they observed the blank space, frowning in disappointment. Sauron reacted faster than Shuriyan at that time. After less than 1 minute, he smiled as he opened his eyes one more time. This place is the wonderful place which stores the power Upanishad origins, which is a tier of power Upanishads. You guys can scatter to find the power Upanishad origin related to your power Upanishads. Every power Upanishad existing in this world has a power Upanishad origin here. However, there's only one power Upanishad origin for each power Upanishad. If someone got it before you, you would regret it for your whole life. Jinru and Candace were different from Meiji and Hantion because they had heard about the power Upanishad origin from Sauron before they came here. Listening to Sauron, their eyes shot divine lights as they bowed to bid farewell to Sauron and go look for their opportunity and find their power Upanishad origin. Sauron squinted, seeing them off. He stooped to watch the void underneath while mumbling to himself. So, everything is true. Similarly, in another area of this unique space, Devour, Yuan, Serene Prison, Edgar, Rupert, and the others arrived. It seemed that the absolute beginning gateway didn't close after it was open once. Anyone who could get through the endless abyss could find the absolute beginning gateway and get to this place. Nothing's here. Serene Prison had a baffled face when he arrived and checked around. Devour appeared as a black shadow. As soon as he arrived, he started looking quite vague. Millions of black ropes shot from his body like tentacles, reaching in every direction and disappearing shortly. Yuanzu squinted as a murmuring sound came from his soul while he released his soul consciousness to check. Yuanzu didn't make people wait for a long time. He turned to devour, and the two of them shouted at the same time as they were frantically thrilled. It's the land of power Upanishad origins. In another area, a cyan lightning ball slowly emerged, carrying a towering life-soul tree. All of a sudden, the lightning ball shrank and exploded, with Desolate appearing in Ghost Hunter's human form. As soon as Desolate got to this place, many fragments of memory in his head were stimulated. A magnificent light space emerged from his head, inside which beams of light shot and weaved with each other, creating a wonderful but complicated sea of light. Those shooting lights were actually the appearances of metal, wood, water, fire, earth, air, and many power Upanishads. If Yin were here, he would know that the strange space above Desolate's head was the so-called fountainhead of power Upanishads, where he used to visit when he got the heaven flames. This place was a marvelous land inside Desolate continent. I finally understand. Desolate laughed after hovering here for a while. Chapter 1591. Searching. Chapter 1591. Searching. In front of Yin was the milky life sea, with the immense life energy rippling and churning. It was like a giant, throbbing heart that boiled his blood. He winced in fear, trying his best to subside the wiggling life ball in his tier of power Upanishads. In his soul altar, the crystal ball released powerful energy fluctuations. The life absolute beginning original symbol was like a wild and bold dragon, pulling the life ball out to enter the sea of life in front of him. It seemed that the absolute beginning original symbol should be merged with the sea of life, bringing Yan's soul consciousness, vitality, and body all together. Yan didn't feel okay with it. An instinctive fear churned in his heart. He was worried that all of his soul seals would be erased. This feeling came from deep in his inner world as a warning. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Although he had tried his best to suppress it, the crystal ball, the essence of his life power Upanishad, had forcefully flown out of his soul altar, hovering 3 meters above his head. The absolute beginning original symbol that represented life in the ball was still swaying, trying to enter the sea of life in front of Yin. Boom! His body seemed to be burning as the life energy burst out torrentially from his body. The immense and wild life energy didn't listen to his power Upanishad anymore as it dragged his body together with the crystal ball and the absolute beginning original symbol toward the sea of life. Thump, thump, thump. In the sea of life, energy rippled thickly and exploded like loud drumbeats. The terrifying explosions sounded like thunderclaps in Yan's sea of consciousness, shaking his soul altar tremendously. The sea of consciousness, soul pond, and the star, space, devouring, and other power Upanishads were shaken hard as if they were about to be shattered soon. The life energy was trying to expel them out of Yan's sea of consciousness. It was an extreme self-repulsion. The power Upanishad origin inside that sea of life had the purest principle, that it didn't allow any other power Upanishads to stay in his soul altar. All other power Upanishads which weren't the life power Upanishad would be destroyed utterly when they got into the life sea. As soon as he got it, Yin was scared out of his wits. He urged all of his strength and even transformed into his absolute beginning body to suppress his body from entering the life sea. As he roared, blood splashed out while he was trying to back off step by step and as far from that milky sea as possible. The suns, moons, stars, and strange light fell from his eyes, turning into a sharp claw to grip the crystal ball, forcefully drawing it backward. Returning to the soul altar, Yin didn't dare to linger. Just like an ancient, savage beast, he was roaring and backing off away from that life sea. It was only until he couldn't feel that frantic energy in the sea that he exhaled in relief and shrank his body into human form. He sweated while looking at the sea of life with fear he didn't conceal. He had gotten it. If he wanted to fuse that sea of life and merge the life power Upanishad origin into his soul altar, he needed to eliminate all the other power Upanishads he had cultivated. He must use the soul altar with only life power Upanishad in it to enter the sea of life to have a chance of getting it. The power Upanishad origin only accepted the warriors with the purest power Upanishad. For example, the Sea of Life Power Upanishad would only acknowledge the expert who had dedicated his entire life in cultivating only the Life Power Upanishad. Apparently, Shi Yin didn't meet the requirement. To him, the Life Power Upanishad was only a power Upanishad, one of many he had cultivated. It wasn't the sole power he had. He had cultivated the space, star, devouring, as well as the 8 evil powers at the same time. Once he entered the Sea of Life, the marks of all other power Upanishads would be obliterated at first. All the studies and memory he had accumulated over hundreds of years would be forcefully erased. With only the Life Power Upanishad in his body, he was qualified to fuse with the Milky Sea. Who's the mother *Ker that set up such damned rules? To the experts with many power Upanishads, this land isn't an auspicious land. It's the land of disaster. Shi Yin paled, cursing indignantly. But he had no other way. He couldn't abandon his space, star, devouring, or the other power Upanishads. Moreover, even if he did discard them, he still didn't have anything to ensure that he could successfully get the Life Power Upanishad origin. He would be just qualified to get the Life Power Upanishad origin if he did that. It was a huge price to pay. That was why he hesitated, scolding and cursing the ones who had set up such rules. Looking at the Sea of Life, he clenched his jaw while pondering. After a while, he recognized that even with his knowledge and memory, he didn't know how to solve this problem, so he gave up. Well, just put it aside then. I need to check the others first. Then, I will decide. Pondering for a while, he got himself together, keeping a certain distance from that life sea. He began to use his life and soul control power Upanishads to create a clone with the absolute beginning blood as the body and a wisp of his soul. Shortly after, by the time the life energy in his host body was weakened, he had created 9 clones that connected directly with his body and soul. As his thought flickered, the 9 clones flew in 9 different directions, trying to find a way to help him out of this difficult situation. Edgar was following close after a shadow that was wandering around the empty space. After each hour, a shadow would come, landing near that shadow and leaving after less than a minute. Edgar watched those shadows come and leave. He knew they were the soul clones of his ancestor, created by the soul control power Upanishad. Devour had poured energy into his clones to power them for a while. After they had consumed all the energy, they would return to him. Those clones were just in the soul form and didn't have a flesh body, so their speed was really amazing. However, because of their soul form, they couldn't contain a lot of energy. That was why they had to return to him several times to obtain energy supplementation. Shi Yin's 9 clones were created by his absolute beginning blood, so they could contain a lot of energy. At the same time, they had the power to fight for a while. But even though they didn't need to refill energy many times, they couldn't move too fast. Compared to Devour's soul clones, they had advantages and disadvantages. At this moment, many soul clones were moving around Devour. He was like a departed ghost that didn't have a destination as he continually used the soul clones to search around. The areas he had passed were filled with his soul clones, so he had a large searching range. Keeping on like this, he would find the way to cope with the power Upanishad origin soon. Oh! Devour halted. Edgar could see his shadow move fast when he concentrated. In a place very far from them, Emperor Sea Shark was standing on a massive water ball. He was urging his soul consciousness, using the Water Power Upanishad to enter the Water Power Upanishad origin. However, at this moment, a shadow emerged not far from him, opening a pair of spooky green eyes like a ghost. Emperor Sea Shark changed his countenance. As he didn't know that it was Devour's clone, he thought it was the evil native creature from here. He didn't think much, immediately urging the power to attack the shadow. Swish, swish, swish. A tender water current shot out of his eyes like a ribbon. As soon as he shot this ribbon, he was struck by a resonance with the Water Power Upanishad origin when he urged his Water Power Upanishad. Some magical power had blended with his water current, making it ever-changing. Sizzle. A soul clone of Devour got hit and exploded into green bubbles, which sparkled like Devour's eyes. The eerie eyes scrutinized Emperor Sea Shark for a while, and then flew backward. Emperor Sea Shark felt a shiver sent down his spines when the spooky green bubbles gazed at him, as if an evil creature was watching him. Hesitating for a while, he stopped his work of fusing with the water power Upanishad origin, hovering and waiting for the coming events, if any. In another area, Devour the Black Shadow twisted for a while. Not long after that, a cluster of spooky green bubbles flew toward him from a far distance. When they came near him, the bubbles turned into jets of green light, entering his black shadow. "Forefather, what did you just find?" asked Edgar in a low voice. "That Emperor Sea Shark something is lucky enough. He has found the water power Upanishad origin and is trying to get it. He smashed one of my hollow soul since it couldn't endure the power." Devour's voice was vague and low. "I have memorized him. Once I get my power Upanishad origin, I will swallow him." "Do we need to notify you on?" asked Edgar as he was a little bewildered. "No need. If he got the power Upanishad origin first, he would become very annoying." Devour stopped Edgar, talking coldly. "What we need to do now is to find my power Upanishad origin. It's much more important than anything else." "Yes, I got it," Edgar nodded respectfully. By the beautiful glacier, Meiji's graceful body turned crystal white, sparkling magnificently. She hesitated for a while to sense the initial commotion of the ice power Upanishad in her soul, eventually deciding to enter the glacier, the magical land of ice power Upanishad. "We found it. We finally found it." Someone was cheering in a distance as two shadows came rushing shoulder to shoulder, both of them icy cold. They were the two experts of the Snow Tribe Sauron had brought here with him. The Snow Tribe lived in the all-cold snow territory, and they all cultivated the ice power Upanishad. These two members of the Snow Tribe were two white-headed men, wearing all-white clothes with fur. After they parted from Sauron, they had wandered around to check, slowly reaching this place because of the density of the coldness. As soon as they arrived, they found Meiji, who looked like a statue of a goddess made of ice. She was floating up to try and get into the glacier. The brothers exchanged looks, then roared while turning into two ice dragons and bellowing as they stormed toward Meiji. Chapter 1592, The Battle on the Glacier. Chapter 1592, The Battle on the Glacier. The Snow Tribe lived in the all-cold snow territory, the coldest place in the sea domain of Nihility. The entire territory was frozen year-round. The all-cold snow territory was the sources of strong, cold gusts blowing through the sea domain of Nihility for billions of years. It was bitterly cold and harsh. Even the warriors cultivating ice power Upanishad didn't dare to visit this place regularly. The Snow Tribe was born in the all-cold snow territory, so they were born immune to coldness, and were also geniuses in cultivating the ice power Upanishad. 10,000 years ago, a member of the Snow Tribe in all-cold snow territory had reached the second sky of Territory Ancestor Realm, immediately making the Snow Tribe famous. He left the all-cold snow territory to visit the hustling, bustling lands around the sea domain of Nihility. Wherever he traveled, the world was frozen. He had brought many troubles to the other clans. Eventually, he came to the mysterious Sky Clan's territory and bumped into Han Tian, who cultivated the fire power Upanishad. Moreover, Han Tian hated the experts with ice power Upanishad a lot. Although they didn't have any grudge against each other, they had an earth-shaking battle. After that battle ended, the man the entire all-cold snow territory had idolized as the god of the snow land was wounded severely. He returned to all-cold snow territory and hadn't shown himself ever since. That expert was called Shuiyi and was the pride of all members of the Snow Tribe. Right here, this pair of brothers from the Snow Tribe were his sons, Shuiyuan and Shuifeng. That year, when Shuiyi battled Han Tian, he was wounded and had helped create Han Tian's fame. After he returned to all-cold snow territory, his territory was still burning. He knew he couldn't save his life. Thus, he decided to divide his god power into two parts and send it to his sons. His power thus created two new Territory Ancestor Realm experts for the Snow Tribe. Shueyuan and Shuefeng at the first sky of Territory Ancestor Realm were the new hope and pride of the Snow Tribe. They decided to follow Sauron with the hope of restoring the Snow Tribe's glory. They wanted to find Han Tion to take revenge. Coming through the Absolute Beginning Gateway, they wanted to find the Ice Power Upanishad origin, which would push them to the higher realm on their path to the ultimate power. Thus, on seeing the glacier, the appearance of the Ice Power Upanishad, that they were trying hard to find, they didn't think much and just stormed forward. Shueyuan and Shuefeng swayed, turning into two icy frost snow dragons. The bright silver dragons roared and shrilled in the world of ice, their giant dragon horns turning into a massive icicle and stabbing toward Meiji. The sharp ice column had reached Meiji despite the distance, while the cold power expanded, as if it wanted to freeze and crack the entire sky. As Meiji also cultivated Ice Power Upanishad, she sensed the cold aura and hissed coldly, "Your realm isn't high enough." The void in front of Meiji's chest was frozen into an icy jade at a speed naked eyes could observe. The two ice columns created by the dragon horns forcefully stabbed at her, but could only hit the icy jade. Crack, crack. The ice columns broke into pieces and the icy frost snow dragons screeched, as if they got hit hard. Meiji's face was cold, her eyes sparkling in the world of howling snowy wind. Members of the Snow Tribe, you guys are the geniuses cultivating the Ice Power Upanishad. No wonder why you guys could come here without an original symbol. Unfortunately, your realm isn't high enough. You dare to vie for the Ice Power Upanishad origin? Are you dreaming? Crack, crack. The ice blocks on Meiji's body shattered, and the thousands of shattering ice shards turned into a tornado, swarming toward the two icy frost snow dragons. Instantly, the silver body of the ice frost snow dragons had thousands of cuts on them. The pricking air got through the small cuts, stabbing into the two brothers' sea of consciousness. The ice frost snow dragons exploded into painful shrieks as the snowflakes flew and congregated into their bodies. The two Snow Tribe warriors next reappeared with so many cuts on their body. The white, cold air fumed from the cuts. The two brothers shivered even though they cultivated Ice Power Upanishad. They felt so cold as if their souls were going numb. "Brother, she is at the second sky of Territory Ancestor Realm," Shuefeng stuttered. Shueyuan's face was cold. He pondered for a while and then said, "We should use the 2 parts of cold energy Father left us." "Brother!" Shuefeng screamed, his face changing. "This is the only way to gain victory." Shueyuan screeched while pounding on his chest. A cold light shot out of his heart, turning a crystal-clear sword. The cold and sharp energy moving inside the sword made Shueyuan numb. Shuefeng was bewildered for a while. When he recognized that he couldn't stop his brother, he didn't hesitate anymore. From his heart, the same cold light shot out, strangely merging with Shueyuan's light. Crack, crack. The 2 swords had merged into one, turning even more dazzling. It then formed an ice dragon, thrusting toward Meiji. Meiji focused on the incoming attack, her charming face turning stern. She could see that this ice dragon had several thousand icy frost snow dragon souls sealed in it. The icy frost snow dragons were the Halidams of the Snow Tribe. It was a kind of strange beast living in the all-cold snow territory. They were really mighty, and they could swallow the cold air to cultivate. The icy frost snow dragon were the guardians of the Snow Tribe for many generations while living in the all-cold snow territory. Shueyuan and Shuefeng had received their father's cold power, which they had used to break through to the Territory Ancestor Realm. Afterward, they discovered the land where the souls of the icy frost snow dragon rested, and refined those souls into the 2 parts of cold energy they got. Actually, they wanted to use the cold energy they inherited to deal with Han Tion. But at this moment, they had to use it for the Power Upanishad origin. Several thousand icy frost snow dragon souls contained the bone-chilling energy that was extremely terrifying and could be compared to the attack of an expert at the 3rd sky of Territory Ancestor Realm. Meiji was at the 2nd sky of Territory Ancestor Realm. Seeing the ice dragon, she pondered for a short moment and realized that she couldn't resist it. Meiji gritted her teeth, plunging directly to the glacier like an ice arrow. What does she want to do? Feng was surprised, screaming. Shui Yuan couldn't explain it either. He focused, getting a hold of himself. He sent more power to the dragon that had several thousand icy frost snow dragons sealed in it to chase Meiji further. Strangely, Meiji's body fell into the glacier, and she disappeared quietly like a water drop in the vast sea. The ice dragon created by the icy frost snow dragon souls was still roaring and howling. However, it halted uncontrollably before it could reach the glacier. The dragon shivered in fear as if it knew that as soon as it got to that glacier, the thousands of icy frost snow dragon souls would perish shortly. "Brother, why is that?" Feng screamed as he didn't get it. He poured more energy, but the ice dragon didn't listen to him. "I don't know what is going on down there." Shui Yuan was also bewildered. While they were still befuddled and hesitant, a clone of Yin arrived, appearing above the glacier. The 9 clones departed from the host body could vaguely feel Meiji, Emperor Sea Shark, and Montesi. Those who had received an original symbol from Yin would have a magical connection with the Power Upanishad symbol tower, which helped him locate Meiji and the others. From that weak connection, when his 9 clones flew away, they could travel the same routes Meiji and the others had chosen. One of his clones had found Meiji. However, as soon as he arrived, the connection with her was cut off. He didn't see Meiji around this glacier, but he saw Shui Yuan and Feng. Similarly, Shui Yuan and Feng saw him. After they retrieved the ice dragon, they found a stranger appearing here. As a result, they immediately became vigilant as Shui Yuan asked, "Who are you?" He couldn't feel the cold aura from Yin, so he knew that the latter didn't cultivate the same power Upanishad. He was really hostile to Yin. "Who are you?" Yin was surprised. "We're from the Snow Tribe. We're here to find the icy frost snow dragon power Upanishad origin. You don't cultivate the ice power Upanishad. You've come to the wrong location. I hope we won't disturb the others' business," said Shui Yuan. He couldn't see through Yan's cultivation base. Although it was just a clone, since Yin had reached the 3rd sky of territory ancestor realm, his clones were strong enough. Thus, Shui Yuan didn't want to provoke more trouble. "Who did you follow to get here?" Yin got it shortly, and he arched his brows. "Which group do you belong? Sauron's, Yuan Zu's, or devouring clans?" Shui Yuan changed his face immediately. "You, which group do you belong to?" "The group that came first." Yin grinned fiendishly. "Who are you?" Feng screamed in fear. "Are you Emperor Sea Shark or Forefather Dragon Lizard?" Before they came here, Sauron had told them about Yan's companions. Hearing that he was from the group that had arrived in this place first, the 2 brothers knew that the situation wasn't going well. "You know a lot, don't you?" Yin smiled. "I'm the one who has opened the Absolute Beginning Gateway. I'm Yin. I guess you came with Sauron, right?" While pausing, his face turned cold and he shouted, "Where's Meiji? Before I got here, I could feel her aura around. Where's she now?" Shui Yuan and Feng were shocked as they instinctively backed off, their faces grimaced. Yan's name had been spread around the entire Sea of Stars. All warriors knew the meaning of his name. The most brutal god of slaughter who had massacred the headquarters of the Soul Clan, Devouring Clan, Black Demon Clan, and Ancient Monster Clan. He had instigated the war between the 7 great clan. He had cast an eternal seal using 2 power Upanishads. The description of Yin flashed in their heads, making them feel bitter blame their bad luck. "I ask you one more time, where is Meiji?" A malicious light sparked in Yan's eyes as he became impatient, walking on the void toward the brothers while shouting. Shui Yuan and Feng exchanged looks, then shouted and urged the ice dragon that had sealed several thousand icy frost snow dragon souls. They wanted to try their best to resist. Chapter 1593, Clones Gather. Chapter 1593, Clones Gather. The ice dragon with the icy frost snow dragon souls inside it moved while releasing the bone-chilling cold air, which was cold enough to freeze even the void. Yin squinted, his eyes filled with bright starlight and his face heavy. This body was just a clone, and his real body wasn't here. Facing the ice dragon attack with the cold energy, he was a little afraid. Hence, he decided to dodge. Rumble. His hands made a cutting gesture and bands of brilliant galaxies emerged, filling up this patch of void. The magnificent star rivers weaved with each other into a marvelous star map. Shi Yan's clone shrank into a tiny light that flashed twice and then disappeared into the star map. The ice dragon fell into the star map when the crackling sounds of freezing void arose. The brilliant stars and weaving star rivers were frozen, and the spinning star map was halted. Space and void. Everything visible and invisible was frozen by the cold power of several thousand icy, frost-snow dragon souls inside the ice dragon. Everything looked like a mosquito trapped in amber forever, or the eternal self Shi Yan and Montesi had cast. The star map with many star rivers crossing each other became frozen in crystal ice. Shui Yuan and Shui Feng exchanged looks, then swayed and flew toward the ice dragon that was hovering in the middle of the frozen star rivers. Where's he? Shui Feng used his soul to check as a flow of cold air that seemed like frost tried to search for Shi Yan's body. It is rumored that this man has supernatural abilities, and that he has numerous power Upanishads as well. Turns out he's not really bold. Shui Yuan frowned while shaking his head. We can't trust rumors, you know? I thought he was tough. Seems like we've overestimated him. Haha, it has also proven our superb techniques. Shui Feng wore an arrogant face. The cold energy by the icy frost snow dragon is even stronger than my father's full-force attack. Let alone Shi Yan. Even Han Tian can endure it. Shui Yuan nodded in agreement. They had come from the all-cold snow territory that was thousands of miles away. Of course, they had some tricks. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare to confront Han Tian. They could come and follow Sauron because of the fierce icy frost snow dragon anyway. I think he's frozen in the star rivers, Shui Feng confirmed. He looked at the crystal starlight underneath while snorting. As long as we crush this star river, his body will be crushed too. Even if his soul isn't affected, his body will be destroyed. Shui Yuan's eyes brightened. They say he has the absolute beginning body. So, he must have the absolute beginning blood in his body. Shui Feng became greedy, licking his lips as his eyes turned hot. If we suck his blood, we can have the absolute beginning body too? Theoretically indeed. Shui Yuan lowered his voice, his eyes also turning hot. The brothers paused for a few seconds, and then suddenly urged power at the same time. Deep in their eyes, numerous icicles, ice columns, and snowflakes twirled and roared like a frantic tornado, heading toward the frozen star rivers. Boom, boom, boom. Earth-shaking explosions reverberated as starlight shot out of the star rivers together with pieces of ice. The star map created by the star rives shattered in just a blink. A wave of immense and mysterious star energy rippled, creating more explosions. Shortly, the star river was crushed, disappearing away. All of the light rays, dots, and pieces of ice spread out in the endless void. The two brothers focused on sensing, using their soul consciousness to check every minute energy fluctuation. They wanted to find Shi Yan's body to suck his absolute beginning blood and transform themselves. However, even until the last beam vanished, they didn't find a wisp of Shi Yan's aura. Shi Yan had disappeared, as if he had never existed here. This strange situation raised an insecure feeling in the two brothers. Brother, this is not normal, Shui Feng muttered, his eyes sparkling. Eventually, his gaze fell on the glacier not far from there. Did he enter the power Upanishad origin just like that woman? Shui Yuan was surprised. Could be. When they had joined hands to attack Meiji, she had plunged into the glacier that represented the ice power Upanishad origin as soon as she realized that she couldn't defeat them. The ice dragon couldn't attack her, and now, Shi Yan had disappeared similarly. They naturally assumed that Shi Yan had entered glacier like Meiji when he saw the situation turn bad. Then what should we do? Shui Feng was a little worried. Sauron said that if we can obtain a power Upanishad origin, we will become the sole god of that power Upanishad. We can even make rules. That woman has got in there. Should we hurry as well? Do you know how to obtain the power Upanishad origin? Shui Yuan shot him a look. I don't know. Then why are you hurried to get there? But, No buts. We just wait here to see if something's going to change. Shui Yuan pulled himself together. Fusing with the power Upanishad origin isn't something easy. If that woman wants to take it, something strange will happen here. We just wait here to see that. When we find the chance, we will kill her. Okay. The two brothers didn't want to act rashly. They hovered by the perpetual glacier, observing daily and noticing every small detail of the glacier. The glacier was the ice power Upanishad origin. The two brothers hovered silently, using their minds to observe. Gradually, they were surprised when they found their understanding of ice power Upanishad getting more profound. This finding thrilled them, and they got even more certain about their decision of not going over to the glacier. They sensed the cold energy moving inside the glacier and carefully seized the chance to learn more. In the serene void, a drop of bright and clear blood was moving swiftly like a stunning ruby. Shi Yan's soul resided inside that drop. This drop of blood was Shi Yan's clone that had escaped the glacier area. Shui Yuan's strange ice dragon had sealed thousands of icy frost snow dragons in it, all having a formidable power. It wasn't wise to take on the dragon with only a clone, so he decided to dodge the spear and find another clone nearby to fuse with. Meanwhile, another clone approached him. Swoosh! This clone halted while flying, and the drop of ruby blood came over to his chest, merging with his blood. After this fusion, his life energy fluctuation became twice as strong. His soul and energy enhanced greatly. Still need a bit more. 2 clones aren't enough. To be safer, I should get another clone. Then, Shi Yan's clone went to another clone. 2 identical Shi Yin merged with each other like some illusions, becoming one. The Shi Yin created by 3 clones had his life, soul, and aura increased sharply. This Shi Yin had a closer relationship with the host body, and he could even receive power from the host body through space. It's good now. Shi Yan's lips moved, and he turned into an invisible flow of energy, shooting across 10,000 miles to reach the glacier. Brother, did you feel something strange? Shui Feng was sitting by the glacier. He opened his eyes and stopped comprehending the power. Seems like the glacier's moving. It's slowly moving as if it has a life. Do you feel it? Shui Yuan changed his countenance as he turned to the glacier. I got that feeling too. In front of them, the perpetual glacier emitted a cold energy while moving. However, only the 2 of them who cultivated ice power Upanishad could sense such a minor motion. They thus sent their soul consciousness there to check and confirm as well. The glacier is shrinking. All of a sudden, Shui Yuan jolted up. He hurried to float up in the void to observe, as if he had spotted something terrifying. Gosh, what's going on? Shui Yuan screamed hoarsely. They then saw the perpetual glacier shrink from 2 sides. From their position, they saw the glacier turn into a woman's shape. It was Meiji's body. She's attempting to take the ice power Upanishad origin. Shui Feng hovered in the air as he understood immediately. We can't let her get it at any cost. Of course, we must stop her. Shui Yuan's face was cold. He immediately urged all of his power to break Meiji's chance that happened once in a blue moon. He's back. Shui Feng staggered backward unconsciously when he saw a shadow emerge. Shi Yin, Shui Yuan screamed. Crack, crack, crack. The 2 of them didn't hesitate as they used the same trick to attack him. The cold light shot out of their bodies, creating the ice dragon. This time, Shi Yan's face was calm. He touched his glabella, and the Skyfall Star River shot out. The entire sky was brilliant and dazzling in this dark and quiet place. The stars were shining like massive gemstone at the same time. It was the same star map made of the weaving star rivers. This star map was actually an absolute beginning divine weapon that had opened a bright territory with an immense space. The ice dragon that sealed thousands of icy, frost snow dragon souls in it released the cold, white mist. However, the star map was still moving as if it would never cease. Quite the contrary, the starlight seeped into those dragon souls, greatly reducing their cold air. Stars burst. The stars that sparkled like gemstones exploded at the same time, and the star map changed again. An entire starry sky was falling like a catastrophe that could annihilate the everlasting galaxy and everything in it. With that, the ice dragon cracked. Thousands of icy frost snow dragon souls got rid of the ice dragon, howling and roaring indignantly. They swarmed toward Xuefeng and Xueyuan in the form of a backlash, biting and tearing them. Chapter 1594, The Road of Fusion. Chapter 1594, The Road of Fusion. Several thousand icy frost snow dragons gathered, roaring and screeching indignantly as they crazily bit and tore Xueyuan and his brother. The icy frost snow dragons appeared in the form of cold air currents. In this glacier area, the cold power of the icy frost snow dragons was bone-chilling. The Xue brothers shrilled and screamed in agony. Shi Yin was quite surprised. Seeing the two brothers about to be torn apart, he didn't attack anymore. Aren't the icy frost snow dragons the holy beasts of the snow tribe? Why do they attack the two brothers from the snow tribe? Sy was skeptical. Burning sounds of fiery flames came from a far distance. As Shi Yin was still bewildered, Han Tian's loud laughter arose. He appeared in the shape of a burning man with red flames covering him entirely. However, as soon as he came over to Shi Yin, the flames on his body subsided, and he returned to his human form. Snow tribe? Han Tian glanced at Xueyuan and Xuefeng while talking. No wonder why I felt Xueye's aura. I thought he hadn't died yet, which is why I hurried to come here. I wanted to fight him again, but here I have only 2 juniors. You couldn't find the fire power Upanishad origin? Shi Yin was surprised. Han Tian nodded while wincing. I've wandered around for a long time. Maybe I'm not lucky, as I haven't found anything. Sigh. I think I need to keep searching. Pausing for a while, his eyes brightened. Oh, you're just a clone. Hey, how about you? With your ability, I think you must have found something, right? Shi Yin pulled a begrudging face. I got trouble. I came here to see if I could find any solution. What happened to these two? Han Tian pointed at the 2 snow tribe warriors, talking with hatred. The snow tribe, since Xueye's time, has walked on the wrong path. They've made Xueye the god of the snow territory. Damn, these 2 brats look like him. The icy frost snow dragons will tear them to death. They deserve that. Your resentment toward the snow tribe seems big. Shi Yin sneered. Han Tian's cold eyes were fixed on the 2 struggling snow tribe warriors as he said, the icy frost snow dragons were the natives of the all-cold snow territory, living there before the snow tribe. I heard that the snow tribe was born by the icy frost snow dragon with a human woman. It's not wrong to say that the icy frost snow dragons were the ancestors of the snow tribe. Over the recent tens of thousands of years, the icy frost snow dragons in the all-cold snow territory have given up the best cultivating areas for the snow tribe. They even watched over the snow tribe members, teaching them how to use the power Upanishads and protecting them for many generations. Han Tian's voice was cold and slow as he snorted. Too bad the snow tribe didn't know how to repay the kindness they had been granted. To get stronger, they came to the place where the icy frost snow dragon souls rested and sealed those poor souls to increase their strength. They've trespassed on their own ancestors. Everybody hates them. Listening to Han Tian, Shi Yin commented, yeah, utterly despicable. That year, I didn't have any grudge against the Xueye, and when he traveled across the mysterious Sky Clan's territory, he didn't do anything offensive. I troubled and challenged him because I saw the icy frost snow dragon souls sealed in his power. I know what he had done. Of course, I had to teach him a lesson. Han Tian's face turned cold and harsh. There was a time I fell into bedevilment while cultivating my fire power Upanishad. The evil flame had intruded my heart and bones. I went to the all-cold snow territory to use the cold air to neutralize my poison blood. There, I met the icy frost snow dragons, who had helped me a lot. They were very friendly and pure beasts. He remembered the past and was still touched by the memories. Shi Yin suddenly understood. The icy frost snow dragons had saved Han Tian's life. So, when he knew that his benefactors couldn't rest in peace and their children had mistreated them dishonorably, he got in a really bad mood. No wonder why Han Tian had attacked and beaten up the one who was hailed to be the god of the snow territory. While they were talking, the Shui brothers were killed by several thousand icy frost snow dragon souls. After those soul-form icy frost snow dragons had killed the ones that had sealed them, they couldn't endure for a long time. Without the host, they lost their power, vanishing gradually. Seems like those icy frost snow dragons had a big grudge against those two. They knew they would vanish after their host died, but they still killed them. Shi Yin sighed emotionally. Han Tian didn't answer him. He was standing with his head stooped to salute the icy frost snow dragons for one last time. When all the icy frost snow dragons vanished, he sighed. At this moment, he finally noticed the glacier underneath, asking in surprise, "Oh wow, the glacier is shrinking. Oh hey, it looks like a woman body, isn't it?" "Meiji's in there," explained Shi Yin. Han Tian changed his face, laughing. This girl does have the luck god with her. She reached the second sky of territory ancestor only after several hundred years, and now, she has obtained the ice power Upanishad origin. I'm sure we can't estimate her achievements in the future. He threw Shi Yin an ambiguous look. Apparently, he thought that Shi Yin had helped her to find this place and get the ice power Upanishad origin. "I didn't help her. She found it herself. I'm here to figure out how to fuse with the power Upanishad origin. So I want to find some clues." Shi Yin forced a smile and focused on watching. Meiji knew a seducing technique, which was the innate supernatural ability of her phantom clan. Every woman of the clan was gifted with this ability, and it wasn't a power Upanishad. Meiji cultivated the ice power Upanishad, which she had progressed over her entire life. Thus, she was qualified to obtain the ice power Upanishad origin. When she entered the glacier, she wasn't boycotted as what happened to Shi Yin. Obviously, Meiji was walking on the path of fusion. It was confirmed when they saw the glacier shrink and appear in the shape of a woman. She was using the power Upanishad origin to refine her soul altar and body. As the glacier was shrinking, it indicated that the mysterious power of the power Upanishad origins principle was transmitted and absorbed into her body, soul altar, and soul. Eventually, the glacier would disappear completely into her body. At that time, Meiji would become the goddess of ice power Upanishad. She would become the rulemaker who understood all changes and abilities of the ice power Upanishad. It was possible to use the power Upanishad origin to advance further from the territory ancestor realm as well. Among the group of experts who had come here, forefather Dragon Lizard hoped to restore his ancestors' bloodline. Han Tian wanted to search for something that could help him get through the territory ancestor realm, and Montesi wanted to find all the mysteries and magic of time. Each one of them had a clear goal. Meiji wanted to join them at any cost, but she didn't embrace a major hope. She just wanted to accompany Shi Yin. And now, the woman without hope ended up having the best luck. She obtained the ice power Upanishad origin and became the first one walking on the path of fusion. You should continue your search for the fire power Upanishad origin. Watching the glacier, Shi Yin said suddenly. The two from the snow tribe had followed Sauron here. I'm sure Sauron won't bring only two experts from the snow tribe. Yuan and Devour are here as well. They must have someone cultivating the fire power Upanishad in their team. You'd better not let anyone find the fire power Upanishad origin before you. Of course, I understand that, but I've been searching for a long time without a positive result. I feel I've used up all of my luck, said Han Tian. Normally, ice and fire are the opposite poles. If the ice power Upanishad origin is here, I think the fire power Upanishad origin isn't far away from here. You've been searching around in wrong directions for a long time, so you can exclude them. As you are here, I think it's likely for you to find the fire power Upanishad origin around. Shi Yin told him his logic, hearing which, Han Tian's eyes brightened. After several seconds, he nodded with a smile. Sounds logical. I will follow this way. I hope I can harvest something with your luck. Yeah, I wish the best for you. Shi Yin smiled, watching Han Tian leave. One of Shi Yan's clones was wandering aimlessly to find someone who was fusing with another power Upanishad origin. He hoped to see and find out the key to achieve the fusion. After an unknown time, he felt a familiar aura from a strange location. It was Zi Yao's aura, which had the pure, holy taste that only the scared divine light could have. Right when he recognized Ziyao, she had been searching for him for a long time, so she immediately sent him a message. Get to my location. I found the devouring power Upanishad origin. Shi Yan's clone was bewildered and then turned into a jet of light, zooming toward Ziyao. Ziyao finally exhaled in relief beside the devouring black hole. She calmed down, watching the black hole and the 8 evil powers while waiting for Shi Yan. One particular day, Ziyao suddenly felt heavy and uncomfortable. She focused, her eyes seemingly able to see through space. A black shadow flashed and ran away fast. It was Devour's hollow soul clones. Ziyao had known Devour for so many years. With that heavy feeling, she immediately got it. Oh damn, he got me. It's tough this time. The black hole and the 8 evil power Upanishads were the powers Devour had been cultivating for his entire life. He had spent his efforts to cultivate this malicious power, and was also the ancestor of all evil power Upanishads. If he got the power Upanishad origin, his strength would skyrocket. At that time, let alone Shi Yan, even Desolate might not be his equal. All creatures would face a disaster in this sea of stars, as Devour would swallow them all. Aiming at building himself and the devouring clan, he could destroy the entire world. Devour has spotted me. You gather all of your power and come here with all clones and host body. Ziyao sent another message. She knew Shi Yan had the power and that it was just one of his clones right now. It was all right earlier, but Devour knew about the place now. So, she decided on it quickly, asking Shi Yan to gather his full force. Okay, Shi Yan answered, and his body and soul departed at the same time, moving fast towards Ziyao. Chapter 1595, Heaven Never Bars Your Way. Chapter 1595, Heaven Never Bars Your Way. Finally found it. The shadow that was Devour's clone twisted hard. He was really excited. Indeed, the hollow soul clones he had released returned to him like birds returning to the nest from everywhere, merging into his main shadow. With that, his aura became more evil, dark, and cold. As the hollow souls returned to him, his power was gathered as well. Edgar followed him quietly. Seeing him scream excitedly, he was also stirred up. Congratulations. Congratulations. Mwahaha. As long as I got the power Upanishad origin, I will become the fountainhead of all devouring power Upanishads in this world. At that time, Shi Yan won't have a chance to fight me, and will be swallowed by me in just a wink. Devour had a good mood right now. After taking the power Upanishad origin and killing Desolate, I can break the barrier that we couldn't in the absolute beginning era. I will then have the eternal, ultimate realm. I will rebuild this world and make the devouring clan the strongest clan in this vast sea of stars. The vision he described made Edgar enthusiastic and excited. Hui is beside the devouring black hole, but we don't need to worry because she doesn't cultivate the devouring power Upanishad. Even if she has the location, she can't do anything. Devour sneered. Bringing Edgar, he turned into a jet of black light, zooming towards Ziyao. At the same time, Shi Yan's clones were flying toward the devouring power Upanishad origin from different locations. Although he knew that he couldn't fuse with it even if he could get there, he must get there as soon as possible. Because he couldn't let Devour get the devouring power Upanishad origin. Once Devour got it, his realm and power would be increased by many times. The stronger Devour became, the lower the chance he would have of surviving. He had to stop the other. Devour and Shi Yan's clones were aiming at the same target, moving at their max speed while Ziyao was waiting in silence. Swoosh! A strange energy fluctuation came. As Ziyao was surprised, Shi Yan appeared, walking to her. He hasn't arrived yet, has he? Ziyao exhaled in relief, smiling. Not yet, you're right on time. Yeah, what do you think? Do you want to get in there to take the devouring power Upanishad origin first? Or wait for Devour to come and shoo him away before fusing? Then, Ziyao furrowed her brows while hissing, You're just a clone? She finally got it. Shi Yan forced a smile. Yeah, I'm just a clone. The host body's pretty far from here. I've made several clones, and they're all heading toward this place. But I can't gather all of them in just a short time. Moreover, even though the body and the clones are all here, I can't take the devouring power Upanishad origin. Why? Ziyao was surprised. I found the life power Upanishad origin, but I couldn't take it even after trying many times. Shi Yin briefed her his own experience. Ziyao was disappointed. So, the warriors with many power Upanishads like you aren't qualified to get even one power Upanishad origin? Among the space, star, life, and devouring power Upanishads, you can keep only one of them to get its power Upanishad origin? Which would you choose? Shi Yin felt begrudging. I don't know what to choose. I haven't made up my mind yet. I want to consider and observe to find a way of obtaining the power Upanishad origin while keeping the other powers. Devour will arrive here shortly. Ziyao knitted her brows, talking seriously. As far as I understand him, he's not weaker than me in this trip. He had used the devouring power Upanishad to create so many deadly calamities. He has recovered faster than me. We should buy more time first to wait for my host body to come here, Shi Yin pondered. The two of them didn't talk more, just watching the devouring power Upanishad origin while waiting for Devour. Shi Yin's clone observed and sent a wisp of soul to that devouring black hole. He wanted to check its power. At that moment, a terrifying suction force arose from the black hole. The strange, deadly, desperate, and frightening auras flooded his head. The soul in this clone of his was like a little boat in a stormy sea. It shook continually as it was being sucked into the black hole. He became more frightened, not daring to test things out anymore and just watching from a far distance. The jet-black devouring black hole spun furiously while the 8 islands of the 8 evil powers scattered and arrayed in an octagonal formation to protect the devouring power Upanishad. It somehow looked like the formation in Shi Yan's soul altar, but they weren't identical. The formation over there seemed to follow some rule of the heaven and earth. No matter how far the clones and the host body were, the wisps of soul could contact each other directly. All the ideas the clones had could reach the host instantly despite the space and distance in between. At this moment, Shi Yan's real body, which was flying toward the area, could see the black hole through the eyes of the clones and even observe the 8 islands. Every thought of the clones was sent immediately to the host body, making them have the same thought. He wanted to rearrange the 8 evil powers and the devouring power Upanishad to look the same as the appearance of the devouring power Upanishad origin. As soon as that thought emerged, his soul altar released a wave of mysterious soul energy, which went from the sea of consciousness over to the tier of power Upanishads. The tier of power Upanishads had all of his power Upanishads. The devouring power Upanishad hovered above the 8 islands that represented the 8 evil powers, just like one ruling the other 8. It was different from what Shi Yan's clone saw. His clone saw the 8 islands of the 8 powers spin closely around the black hole as if they were a whole. A magical connection linked them together, which followed some rule of this sort of a malicious power Upanishad. As Shi Yan thought, the islands that represented the 8 evil powers with their marks slowly moved up, revolving around the devouring black hole. Shi Yan's clone observed the devouring power Upanishad origin, while his host body began to rearrange the islands. Gradually, his 8 islands were arrayed exactly like the appearance of the devouring power Upanishad origin. When they were in their positions, they started revolving around it. Boom! A vehement vibe came from the seals of the 8 evil powers and the devouring power Upanishad. It seemed that the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 powers had become one at that moment. They supported each other as the devouring power being the major power and the other 8 being the minor powers. They were actually one power Upanishad. Shi Yin suddenly understood everything, and the knots he had regarding the devouring power Upanishad, as well as the many difficult problems he found in his power Upanishads, were now clear to him. He had understood the connection and support between the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers thoroughly. The host body was on the way, but his power Upanishad had sublimated, his understanding of devouring and the 8 evil powers finally reaching a whole new level. This was all because his clone had arrived at the devouring power Upanishad origin area first. He had observed the arrangement of the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers, rearranging them in his soul. His simple simulation had granted him the marvel he couldn't describe, opening a whole new world of explanations of power Upanishads. As one went through, hundreds would follow. He seemed to be enlightened. A flash came to him, and he got a new and amazing idea, a new way. If he imprinted the life, star, space, and devour to his different clones, that would make one clone have only one power Upanishad. Would he be able to get the power Upanishad origin like Meiji? As soon as this thought emerged, he became excited while his soul was greatly enlightened. The difficulty that had troubled him was solved. His soul shivered in thrill, and he couldn't wait to try it. His clones were made of his absolute beginning blood as the body and wisps of his souls as the brain. If he could send them parts of his sea of consciousness and soul power, his clones wouldn't be much different from his host body. However, the host body would be stronger than the clones. They were still only one person in nature. Could he take any power Upanishad origin then? As soon as this door opened to him, he finally saw hope. He thought that this possibility had a high rate of success, which cheered him up. Meanwhile, all the clones gathered and moved forward. A clone flew toward him from a distance. Then they flew shoulder by shoulder toward the devouring power Upanishad origin. The two Shiryans turned around to face each other as the host body's eyes sparkled with a dark but wise light. The devouring power Upanishad and the 8 islands of the 8 evil powers flew out of the host body's head, bringing a part of the sea of consciousness and the soul power to the clone. As if magic, there was nothing hindering the process. The marks of the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers were imprinted directly into the clone's head without any rejection. Shiryen was shaken hard because his first attempt had been unexpectedly smooth. Open the door, open acupuncture points. Mumbling to himself, the acupuncture points of the clone suddenly emitted the strange energy fluctuation. As soon as it emerged, both Shiryen himself and the clone were shaken hard. He had a magical feeling he couldn't describe. The acupuncture points of the host body and the clone resonated, and the host body's territory was even copied. It slowly hovered above the clone's head like an illusion, separating a part of his sea of consciousness and the soul power, making the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers as the main power in the tier of power Upanishad, with the upper level having the wisp of soul. What else made it different from the host body? It was another self of his. Ha 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 ha. The host body and the clone laughed at the same time, which was joyful and excited. He was around 80% sure he would be able to fuse with a power Upanishad origin now. Chapter 1596. One Idea to Give Birth to the World. Chapter 1596. One Idea to Give Birth to the World. Bands of 5-colored rainbows extended in this place, illuminating the tranquil and dark area shortly, making it beautifully bright. Layers of lights blended together into a scene as beautiful as a fairyland. Ziyao wore a long, rosy dress, sitting upright on the precious crystal throne while looking far into the distance. After a long, long time, Devour came with Edgar in the form of a shadow. He stopped by the rainbow band and looked at Ziyao while speaking coldly. "Do you really want to stop me?" Ziyao was surprised. "If it's not to stop you, why would I have to arrange such a great formation? What's interesting in doing that? I heard that you're called Ziyao now. It's ridiculous that the soul clone could swallow the host soul." Devour smirked coldly. "It's a big joke for everybody that a soul clone could seize the control of an absolute beginning body." Haha. Ziyao didn't quarrel with him, sniggering. "You're devouring power Upanishad origins right behind my back. If you want to get it, you have to pass my challenge." "Where's he?" Devour looked around. "I'm here." Shiryan's voice arose from a band of bright gold light. Afterward, his clone showed up right in front of Devour. "What do you want to find me for?" Seeing Shiryan, both Devour and Edgar were startled. Devour scrutinized Shiryan for a while, then exhaled discreetly. "Just a clone." "Yeah, I know it. If your body was here, you would have obtained the devouring power Upanishad origin right away. You wouldn't just stand here and babble with me." Then, Devour moved toward the sky filled with lights. Edgar's eyes were cold and dark while his green skin exuded a cold, aura. His venomous snake eyes sparkled maliciously. Sure, Yin, your clone will die here. The green energy rolled in his eyes, turning into a massive drill. The soul energy drill shot out of his eyes, but it looked so real as it was darting towards Shi Yan's clone. Devour moved, and his shadow changed into some alien creature that looked like a giant octopus with green, slimy tentacles. They looked like flood dragons when they hit on Zi Yao's auspicious five-colored protective light. Boom, boom, boom. The five-colored light cage shook hard while Zi Yao's gorgeous face slowly changed amidst the shooting lights. At that moment, a purple light abruptly burst off. Boom. The 12 heavenly snakes appeared with Zi Yao sitting on a snake head, smiling brightly and charmingly. Seems like you got some major harvests in the empty land and Sea of Annihilation. You've recovered by 80%. You're too annoying. The massive snakes crawled around the empty space as electric rainbows weaved together, filling the entire place while creating a sea of divine light. The holy, pure energy expanded torrentially, attempting to cover Devour's real body entirely. Devour roared, causing 8 gory islands similar to Shi Yan's power Upanishad to rise above his head. The devouring black hole emerged in the middle of the circle created by the 8 evil islands while an evil, dark, and cold energy emitted out, dyeing the entire world blood red. The blood bridges that connected the 8 islands to the black hole were built, and the islands and the black hole became one. Together, they emitted the dark, despairing, and destructive auras, as if they wanted to obliterate the entire world, burning every creature into ashes. This kind of a negative and malignant energy fluctuation could eradicate any form of matter. If Desolate weren't too powerful that year, the absolute beginning era would have ended earlier in your hands. The meaning of your existence is to kill and destroy everything. You're the embodiment of evil in this world. But you failed. You failed like me. We heard nothing from you for almost another era. Zi Yao's face turned cold. While talking, her rainbow bands weaved across the sky, creating a massive net that could seal the space and entrap the cosmos. The massive light net slowly lowered, tying down Devour's body. The 2 creatures who used to swagger in absolute beginning era and had joined hands to resist Desolate were facing each other in the new era after so many years. Right now, they were standing on 2 opposite sides, trying to kill each other. If this battle happened outside, it would destroy the entire world, killing billions of creatures. It would turn many territories into nothingness. This place was the most mysterious land in this universe. It didn't have the sky, the earth, or any creatures. It didn't actually have space. The battle taking place in this empty place wouldn't cause destruction to the real world out there that couldn't be recovered from. The battle between the 2 giant creatures would create a lot of formidable energy shockwaves, which would expand fast and far away. Your clone will die facing me, and the host body will be weakened if the clone dies. So, I guess I will kill your clone first. Edgar smirked coldly, urging his power. Edgar was the expert with the highest realm in the Devouring clan. He was Pu Tai's father, his soul control and death power Upanishads QA even more intimidating than Ming Hao and Xian He's. He was one of the 10 great territory ancestors, one of the strongest existences in this world. Boom, 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 boom. Earth-shaking explosions arose from Edgar's body as the world around him immediately sank into darkness. He urged the dark power Upanishad to shadow all lights in this area. Zi Yao's divine light couldn't pierce through Edgar's. With that, Edgar disappeared while the darkness expanded like a sea of black clouds, reaching Shi Yan's clone. It's true that the clone has only a part of the host body's strength, but if the host body's strong enough, the clone can make the enemy kneel in fear. Shi Yan sneered, spurting a bright sea of stars from his mouth. It was a galaxy with strange but bright lights, high mountains, and long rivers on the planets. Many creatures were moving and working. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter took turns to visit the planets. It seemed to be a real territory, a world filled with life, a space that could confine any creature. Darkness arrived, and the realistic territory slowly sank into it. Hiding in his darkness, Edgar was stunned when he observed that world. He saw a lake on a planet with a lot of fishes. Some fishermen were catching the fishes. He could feel thick vitality from those fishermen. It was real-life energy. Edgar was terrified. The territory he was staying in seemed not to be an illusion. Shi Yin had used his power to create it, which made it no different from the world out there in nature. Since when could Shi Yan's powers create the heaven and earth, the real space? He could even create creatures. How could someone at the second sky of territory ancestor realm reach such level? Doubts washed over continuously as Edgar was shaken. He suddenly understood Shi Yan's real realm, third sky of territory ancestor realm. Shi Yan had reached the third sky of territory ancestor realm. He had broken through to the realm where he could use his power to create space and create any creature with only his thought. Shi Yan was at the third sky of territory ancestor realm. Although he was just a clone here, Edgar couldn't look down on him anymore. He knew why Shi Yan said that. If the host body were at a certain level, the clone would be so terrifying that it could make the enemy shiver in fear. Reap. However, at this moment, Shi Yan's voice arose across every planet in this vigorous universe. The heaven and earth changed, and the brilliant lights in the skies retreated. Dazzling starlights were retrieved into the planets, which shortly turned into dead stars. The entire world had turned cold and deadly silent, without a wisp of living energy. Edgar was dumbstruck. As he looked over at the lake, there were no fishes swimming any longer, and the fishermen on the lake were now white skeletons. The wind blew past them, and their decayed bones turned into dust, vanishing in the air. Edgar was shaken hard. He was lost in this world as Shi Yan's power Upanishads had deluded him. His soul was shocked by the world created with star, space, life, devouring, and the 8 evil power Upanishads. His darkness vanished slowly, exposing himself. He frowned, thinking about the principle in the heaven and earth and the ultimate ability of power Upanishads. When would it be the last moment? He got lost in Shi Yan's world. Bands of rainbows moved like 7-colored snakes, entering Devour's swallowing area and attacking the crazy, desperate, and dark world. Devour had a special territory, which was the most horrifying place in this universe. Because it was too extreme, after creating the Devouring clan, Devour had left them to live and cultivate in the sea domain of nihility rather than let the creatures he had made with his blood and flesh live in his territory. His territory used devouring, destruction, despair, darkness, corrosion, chaos, and death as the foundation. The devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers were the main themes of that world, making it several times more horrible than the eternal desolation. That world was the origin of every evil deed in his inner world. Destroying that territory was also destroying all of Devour's evil powers, which also meant Devour's utter destruction. Ziyao was about to use the purest divine light to filter and clean that terrifying territory and destroy Devour's source of evilness, breaking his heart and defeating his realm. Right on time. At that moment, another Shi Yan appeared, but it was also a clone. After this clone arrived, it smiled and turned into a drop of blood, entering the clone that was fighting Edgar. Time flew fast. After a while, Shi Yan's host body and clone that got imprinted with the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers finally arrived. The host body grinned strangely, waving at the clone that was fighting Edgar. This clone then merged with the host body. The host body faced the sky and roared, turning into a giant demogorgon while dashing toward Devour. The clone that got the devouring power Upanishad imprint took a deep breath. With a resolute face, he stepped toward the devouring power Upanishad origin. He wanted to test his idea. He wanted to take the devouring power Upanishad origin and control all evil powers in this world. Chapter 1597. Swallow Everything. Chapter 1597. Swallow Everything. Edgar was lost in the world of illusions, finding the ultimate power Upanishad. Shi Yan's host body grinned, swelling up to become a giant that could be compared with Ziyao and Devour. At the same time, his clone was approaching the devouring power Upanishad origin, trying to fuse with the supreme core of devouring power Upanishad. He would then be able to control the sour of this evil power. Edgar, Devour bellowed, his voice the tsunami reverberating in this world. With that, Edgar seemed to get hit as his body shook hard like he was electrocuted. The puzzled countenance disappeared from his face, and after he regained his sound mind, he knew his new task immediately. Stop! Numerous blood-dripping hands appeared in the void, shadowing the entire space like blood clouds. It was the death seal created by the death power. Dozens of death seals became clusters of rolling clouds, rumblingly attacked Shi Yan's clone. Waves of blood came as if they could move the mountains and level the seas. Shi Yan's clone felt suffocated. He halted, turning to face the mountain-like bloody hands falling from the sky. Fireflies competing with the full moon? Death and life seals. Shi Yan's clone crossed his hands. His left hand controlled the death power, and his right hand held the power of life cycle. The two opposite power Upanishads, death and life, merged together in the void, forming a massive hand seal of death and life powers. That hand seal seemed to be the real lord of death and life that could control both the powers harmoniously. Billions of creatures in this world were born and died. Every mystery of their lives seemed to be hidden in this hand seal. The magical event appeared, and the bloody hands dimmed when they encountered the massive death and life hand seal. The power of death Edgar cast was affected. From tangible objects, they faded before vanishing completely, leaving nothing behind. Just like a thick smoke that was washed away by the wind, they didn't leave even a single trace. Swoosh! A wave of strange energy rippled from the death and life seal, eventually turning into a flow of immense vitality and entering Shi Yan's host body. The life power Upanishad the clone had just used seemed to be discarded from the body. The clone had just restored its absolute evil, cold, and dark bearings. The clone continued to step toward the devouring power Upanishad origin. He didn't bat an eye on Edgar as if the latter was invisible. As Edgar was outraged, a finger with a crazily tremendous power pressed on him from above. It was Shi Yan's host body's finger. It carried the power of 10,000 soldiers, as it used only the physical strength to press Edgar. Edgar only had a normal body, while Shi Yan's host body's finger was like a mountain. Edgar gawked at the mountain-like finger falling down on him, feeling the world around him suddenly being sealed. The massive death and life seal that had vanished seemed to create some invisible restriction that confined his soul. It froze him, making him watch the mountain pressing down on him without being able to move. Get your body smashed. Shi Yan bellowed like thunderclaps in the sky. Just when his voice resounded, the finger touched Edgar. With that, the latter's body burst up, his bones and flesh smashed, blood splashing everywhere. Edgar! Devour's angry roar echoed as Edgar's body turned into a jet of bloodlight, rolling pieces of the bloody mess of flesh and broken bones with his soul altar flying toward Devour's absolute darkness. Don't worry. As long as I'm here, you can be revived. Devour sucked and swallowed Edgar's soul altar and body. All of a sudden, tentacles furiously coiled Shi Yan like dragons. The agile, twisting tentacles came with demonic faces on the suckers that could dizzy people. One of those tentacles twisted and changed, magically becoming a spooky green shadow. That gloomy shadow flashed in the middle of the furious fight and then disappeared. When it reappeared, it had crossed Ziyao and Shi Yan already, quietly approaching Shi Yan's clone that was heading toward the power Upanishad origin. Shi Yan's clone was a little surprised, turning around to look. The spooky green shadow that seemed like a green light curtain suddenly snatched him. A combined energy that could distort his soul consciousness, destroy his soul altar, and put him in despair attacked Shi Yan's head instantly. Devour's clone, his body created by soul control power Upanishad. Shi Yan got it immediately as he sneered and touched his glabella. From between his brows, a small vortex emerged, and then 8 islands which represented 8 evil power Upanishads arose, spinning around it in a strange trajectory. The 8 evil powers including soul control, death, dark, destruction, despair, corrosion, chaos, and corpse chi surrounded the devouring power Upanishad and had become one. A strange evil power that could control all the auras of the 8 evil powers had turned into a phantom of a vague demogorgon. The phantom flashed and swooped like the most malicious creature that had just been born. The aura that could twist the universe and destroy stars gushed out, which was potent enough to freeze the void. The demogorgon phantom created by the 8 evil powers had bloodshot eyes. When it saw the green light coming, it thrust its arms into the air to pull and tear it. Its momentum was enough to tear even the sky. The sound of fabric being torn arose clearly as the green light curtain was torn apart. The body of the eerie green shadow was ruptured altogether. Devour's clone was torn apart, and his soul was pulled out of the body. 8 evil powers have combined. You could combine the power Upanishads. It's impossible. Devour screamed and bellowed as if he had lost his mind. The tentacles in the void acted like dragons trying to wreck this empty space. Ziyao's heavenly 12-headed snake and Shi Yan's absolute beginning body roared at the same time, urging their powers. Shortly after, meteors rained down fierily and masses of brilliant but mysterious stars gathered. Overbearing space sabers attempted to slash the entire space while light balls with torrential life energy in them exploded. The earth-shaking impact burst out. Ziyao and Shi Yan were trying their best to resist Devour and stop his evil power. After tearing Devour's clone, Shi Yan's clone didn't hurry to leave. He stood there for a while to see if more trouble would come. After a while, he found that although Devour was roaring furiously, he couldn't exert more effort to attack Shi Yan's clone as Ziyao and Shi Yan were attacking him. Furthermore, the surroundings didn't have any sign of strong experts that could come here in a short time. After pondering, Shi Yan continued his progress and continued to walk toward the devouring power Upanishad origin. Shi Yan's clone suddenly released 9 malicious auras of the devouring: soul control, death, dark, destruction, despair, corrosion, and corpse chi. The energy constantly fluctuated, making him seem terrifyingly fearsome and his aura completely formidable. However, when the devouring power Upanishad origin sensed similar energy fluctuations, it became quiet. The black vortex of the devouring power Upanishad origin was like a deep and malicious eye gazing at Shi Yan. The 8 islands stopped moving, but still kept releasing the auras of the devouring: soul control, death, dark, destruction, despair, corrosion, and corpse chi, which were magically resonating with Shi Yan's energies. Shi Yan was greatly shocked by this development. Seeing the minor changes of the devouring power Upanishad origin, his confidence grew as his method was confirmed. The devouring power Upanishad origin didn't reject him, which meant he was now qualified, and the power Upanishad origin had accepted him. His clone could get in there. Shi Yan calmly moved toward the devouring power Upanishad origin. He was just a little away from it. All of a sudden, a tender but irresistible power came from the devouring power Upanishad origin. Shi Yan's clone levitated, entering the devouring power Upanishad origin shortly and simply. He flashed in the middle of the black vortex and then disappeared. The devouring power Upanishad origin had swallowed him. Boom! Billions of negative and complicated emotions rolled furiously, flooding his head, forcefully storming his sea of consciousness: soul pond, soul altar, territory, and his soul, reaching further into his bones, acupuncture points, internal organs, blood, and flesh. Inside the absolute darkness, he spun continually as if he was walking to the source of evil in this world, heading to the center of the cosmos. It seemed that the negative energy of all creatures in the world, their fears, despair, killings, brutality, destruction, lewdness, and all kinds of evilness hiding deep in their hearts were present here. The evilness from the inner worlds of every creature in this universe burst out at this moment, swarming toward Shi Yan and drowning him. Swallow, swallow, swallow the entire world. Swallow everything. Matters, nothingness, planets, consciousness, thoughts, ideas, emotions, all of them. His heart strictly followed the core instruction of the devouring power Upanishad. Feeling the evil ideas of so many creatures, he instinctively urged the devouring power Upanishad. Emotions, thoughts, and evil desires seemed to flow endlessly from every corner, every territory in this cosmos, plotting his acupuncture points. At this moment, the 720 acupuncture points seemed to connect to 720 different territories. The desperate, fearful, lustful, destructive, brutal, slaughtering, and resentful sentiments of billions of creatures in different territories were guided as Yin was using the devouring power Upanishad to suck them into his territory, hiding them in his body. He felt his soul, body, and mind sinking in agony, which wasn't something an ordinary creature could endure. The horrible negative emotions had almost cracked Yin's soul. He had almost become the evilest demogorgon in this world as the negative emotions flooded him. Come, come, all of you, come to me. He thundered angrily under the attack of countless evil thoughts. Eventually, he relaxed his body and soul, and opened his sea of consciousness and acupuncture points, frantically urging the devouring power Upanishad. Chapter 1598, Divine Weapon. Chapter 1598, Divine Weapon. Desolate was moving in the void in Ghost Hunter's form. He didn't need to group like the others as he had clear directions. In the absolute beginning era, many creatures knew that Desolate had two marvelous divine weapons, one of which was the life soul tree that could create lives and new species. It had the power of the creator with which Desolate could use his god power to create new and different races. The Heavenly Monster Tribe, Immortal Demon Clan, God Clan, Imperial Dark Tribe, Giant Clan, Dark Spirit Clan, and the other races that existed in Desolate territory were created by his soul power. The Life Soul Tree was the most desired secret treasure for the experts with Life Power Upanishad. Of course, Desolate had mastered the Life Power Upanishad. Except for the Life Soul Tree, he had another divine weapon called the Power Upanishad Original Seal. That Power Upanishad Original Seal was the place Yin's and Audrey's souls had visited when they had fused with the Heaven Flames. It was also a wonderful land inside Desolate territory where magical Power Upanishads were stored that the warriors could use their souls to learn. The Power Upanishad Original Seal had many Power Upanishads, from the 5 elements to gravity, space, life, stars, etc. Except for the Devouring Power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers. The Power Upanishad Original Seal had the marks of all Power Upanishads. No one knew how Desolate got those 2 absolute beginning divine weapons or how to refine them. No matter what, their power had shaken the entire absolute beginning era. Today, Desolate recognized that his Power Upanishad Original Seal had a special connection with this space. His Power Upanishad Original Seal seemed to be the map of this strange world. It emitted magical energy fluctuations which had the same frequencies as different Power Upanishad origins in this world. Using the Power Upanishad Original Seal, he could navigate the Power Upanishads that the Power Upanishad Original Seal had. While the others were wandering around blindly, he had the right directions, and he could choose which Power Upanishad origin he wanted to fuse with. He found a Power Upanishad origin nearest to him that he wanted to take. It was the Metal Power Upanishad origin. In this vast sea of stars, most of the creatures decided to cultivate only one Power Upanishad. Not many people had the same cultivating path like Yin, who cultivated many Power Upanishads at the same time. Desolate belonged to this group. As a matter of fact, he had cultivated even more Power Upanishads than Yin. His major Power Upanishads included the 5 elements, metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, life, and light. Although he had cultivated many Power Upanishads at the same time, he had reached the 3rd sky of Territory Ancestor Realm, which showed his innate talent and competence. This was the reason why Desolate was titled the God of War during Absolute Beginning Era. Compared to the experts at the same realm, Desolate had more Power Upanishads and had the upper hand in fighting. It wasn't anything mysterious. He had exerted his efforts hundreds or thousands of times, more than the others to reach the peak of Territory Ancestor Realm. Naturally, He was much stronger than the ones cultivating only one power Upanishad. Desolate got the correct direction, which had facilitated him much better than the original symbol Sure Yin had gifted Meiji, Emperor Sea Shark, and Montesi. The others could only feel the power Upanishad origin when they arrived in a certain range, but Desolate didn't need to do that. No matter where he was, he could find the right power Upanishad origin he wanted. He could even see the distance between him and the power Upanishad origin. First, he came to the metal power Upanishad origin. Hero had come to this place earlier than him, and he was fusing with the power Upanishad origin, which was the Gold Mountain. After Hero got into the Gold Mountain, it had become a gold giant hovering in the void. The terrifying, immense aura from the giant shot in the void. Someone got here earlier than me. When Desolate saw the gold giant, he was surprised. Watching for a while, he said indifferently, "Too bad you've not finished yet, and it has just started. So, you can only blame your poor destiny." Desolate watched the mountain that was holding Hero, screaming all of a sudden. His body swelled up, transforming into his absolute beginning body, which was a brutal giant dragon. As his body was transforming, he urged the metal power Upanishad. The gold light shrouded him, making him look as if he was molded out of gold. The scales, horns, and claws on his body all turned gold. Desolate had become a gold dragon that was billions of miles long, and the pure metal power Upanishad filled him. Although he had cultivated a lot of power Upanishads, he didn't need to make clones to fuse with a power Upanishad origin like Sure Yin had done. He used the giant body of the gold dragon coiling around the gold giant, the giant in Hero shape. Boom! An unimaginably colossal dragon squeezed around a gold giant. Desolate's terrifying body twisted, and gold light waves rippled from the gold giant, which were the flustered, pure soul energy from Hero. A dazzling gold halo emerged above the giant's head, which was Hero's soul. At this moment, the gold halo was swaying hard as if it could burst off at any minute. "You don't deserve the metal power Upanishad origin," Desolate sneered coldly. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Golden electric beams shot out from every part of the gold giant and congregated into Hero's real body. Hero was taking in the metal power Upanishad origin, but he was forcefully expelled from the power Upanishad origin. At this moment, Hero's crystal bone body emitted a bright golden light, which made him look like a gold skeleton. His eyes rolled as he asked coldly, "Who are you?" "You should know about me," Desolate said indifferently. All of a sudden, a wave of horrible soul attacks swarmed toward Hero like a storm. A familiar feeling churned in his heart as Hero discolored in fright. He couldn't help but shout, "Desolate! You are Desolate, the god of war." Hero had joined the defending battle in Cloud Mist territory where Desolate had attacked them. This frightening pressure that could suffocate people was familiar to him, and he would never forget it. "Your fortune isn't really good that you met me before you finished taking in the power Upanishad origin. It's your bad luck." Desolate said the truth. "If you had gotten it, it wouldn't be easy to kill you for me. However, it's effortless to finish you now." Then, Desolate roared, his vigorous life energy filling the void and exploding. A tree grew on Hero's gold chest. It was a sapling of the life soul tree. That sapling had been there since Hero was expelled from the metal power Upanishad origin. Desolate urged the life power Upanishad, and the little tree thrived frantically. The small branches pierced through Hero's gold skeleton like sharp swords. Boop, boop. Hero's gold body shattered just like a gold crystal statue and fell on the ground. He was fragmented terrifyingly. Chapter 1599. The Originator of All Evils. Chapter 1599. The Originator of All Evils. Hero's gold body shattered, and his soul altar got rid of the body, trying to run away from this place. "You can't leave." Desolate's cold and harsh voice came from the dragon's head, and the fearsome, gold dragon horn pierced through Hero's soul altar precisely. Boom! The furious electricity current that could kill a soul emitted from the dragon horn. Hero's soul altar connected to the Sea of Consciousness, territory, soul pond, and host's soul was coiled by the electric current that became a net, pulling Hero's soul altar backward. Hero's magical soul altar was forcefully pulled and shoved into the sparkling gold mountain. I don't cultivate the devouring power Upanishad, so I can't absorb your body and soul. Anyway, you're at the second sky of Territory Ancestor Realm, a famous expert in this era, so I shouldn't waste your soul energy and god power. I will let you merge with the power Upanishad origin, then I will swallow it. At least, I can get your soul energy from it. Hero's soul altar turned into a gold light shooting toward the gold mountain while desolate gold eyes sparkled happily. All of a sudden, he roared and opened the bloody mouth to breathe in. The metal power Upanishad origin turned into a gold water current that desolate drew into his stomach like a whale sucking water. He had swallowed an entire gold mountain. Layers of gold energy materialized, forming massive waves like gold clouds on the giant gold dragon. From a distance, Desolate looked as if he was covered with a tier of rolling gold clouds. The extremely sharp metal airflows shot as if they could slash the sky. Hero had become the first unfortunate one to be killed by Desolate. And he was just the first one. Desolate had the map of this place. After he got the metal power Upanishad origin, he moved, checking each of his power Upanishads. Starting from Hero, his slaughter had begun. Deep in the dark and quiet void, 3 giant creatures were entangling and attacking each other. Pieces of a galaxy emerged, stars falling like rain. The death, despair, space, and life impacted constantly and earth-shakingly. This battle seemed capable of burying an entire world. It was the battle between Shi Yin, Ziyao, and Devour. Devour, the one who controlled the evil power Upanishads in the absolute beginning era, had swaggered overbearingly for an entire era. He had mastered the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers. When his era ended, he was still in existence atop the others. He was the undying legend, the ancestor of the devouring clan, one of the 7 great clans, who had created so many miracles. Bloodthirsty used to be the overlord of desolate territory, and now, Shi Yin was a new rising star. Both of them were famous because of Devour's power Upanishad anyhow. The devouring power Upanishad was the topmost evil and overbearing power in this world, the source of all evils. He had brought evils to this world and imparted them to the others, creating horrible legends. Devour was deemed to be the ancestor of all evil creatures. In the absolute beginning era, he was one of the most terrifying characters. However, at this moment, the evilest creature in the world was facing the most difficult battle in his everlasting life. Joining this battle were Ziyao, who used to be his partner, and Shi Yin, who had been famous with his devouring power Upanishad. He was the new generation of experts with a part of his power Upanishad. Devour roared and howled crazily in the rolling darkness that covered the void to the point where people couldn't see their own fingers. The earth-shaking energy with negative emotions burst and expanded to the end of the void like a shattering territory. Devour had thrown himself into a frenzy of rage. The evil energies he was releasing were unceasing. Low-realm warriors would have their souls torn apart, becoming bloodthirsty ghosts and beasts that worshipped him as their lord, if they came near. However, at this moment, only Ziyao and Shi Yin were here. Ziyao's 12-headed snake body was emitting 7-colored crystalline lights, making her seem like the most exquisite masterpiece. She was so stunning that she could make people dizzy while looking at her. So many layers of lights expanded in waves like the most magnificent clouds. It looked like a 7-colored sea now having points of phosphorescence. The holy light and pure aura filled every corner, stopping all evils outside. Ziyao wasn't attacked by the sea of negative emotions and energy. She was twisting her giant body, using the divine light bands to tie Devour, making his moves and energy stagnant. Shi Yin had turned into a savage giant who looked as though he was made of reinforced concrete. The dragon scales covered his body with strange spikes, and a pair of bone wings opened behind his back. He looked indeed like a demonic ancestor. In his eyes, suns, moons, and stars sparkled at the same time. They seemed to host the 2 seas of stars. His mysterious aura wasn't any less intense than Ziyao's. Holding the chain made of the Skyfall Star River, he grinned fiendishly, not minding the rising negative sea at all. Gritting his teeth, he urged his power to tear Devour's true body. Meanwhile, Devour's dragon-like tentacles slashed on Shi Yan's body, carrying the evil powers of death, destruction, despair, corrosion, etc. With Devour's soul consciousness, they formed into the extreme abilities of each evil power. Shi Yan's absolute beginning body with Desolate's part just felt a scratching pain as the tentacles whipped him. His internal organs and skeleton weren't affected at all. Anyway, he wasn't passive enough to just endure the attack. The chain made by the Skyfall Star River shook and hundreds of stars flew like rolling rocks along with the terrifying aura, bombarding Devour. The star, space, and life were rare power Upanishads, and they all had their own supernatural abilities. Shi Yan was using them skillfully to face Devour's devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers. Moreover, Ziyao was around, joining him with her divine light power Upanishad. Facing the two of them, Devour roared and screamed continually but couldn't get rid of them. Gradually, he knew it wasn't going right. The devouring power Upanishad origin wasn't far from him. After Shi Yan's clone was swallowed, he felt every origin of evilness in this world was connected to the devouring power Upanishad origin. Many kinds of malicious energies from the inner worlds of billions of creatures in different territories seemed to find the right vent to gush into the power Upanishad origin. Devour didn't understand the power Upanishad origin. However, since the moment he was born, the devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers were imprinted in his head. He was the creature that was born by the evil powers. That was how he got a vague connection with the devouring power Upanishad origin. At this moment, he had a bad feeling as if the treasure predestined for him was getting far away. This feeling came deep in his soul and became stronger with each passing moment, making his soul shiver in fear. He had to risk his life to change this situation. Arfk. The roaring that shattered the dome of the sky came from Devour. The tentacles he had released were all retrieved, and endless black clouds exploded while rumbling. The rolling darkness expanded endlessly, covering Devour completely. The thick darkness changed, turning into a jet-black tunnel. It was Devour's devouring black hole in its finest and highest form. Devour used his body and soul energy to urge his core power Upanishad to create the most terrifying form of his devouring ability. A horrible aura that could cover all creatures and souls in the world came from the black hole. In this moment, both Shi Yan and Ziyao had become extremely gingerly. They exchanged looks and paid more attention on protecting their soul altars. Their soul altars were swaying hard, trying to get rid of their control and fly out of their heads. The devouring power Upanishad's best ability was to swallow the soul altars and refine the energy from the soul and sea of consciousness the others had accumulated over millions of years. Ziyao and Shi Yan knew this feature well. Their battle had finally come to the critical moment. If they were careless for even a moment, their soul altars would be sucked by the black hole. At that time, they wouldn't be lucky enough to keep even a wisp of soul. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The devouring power came from that black hole and expanded far away, not only in this area. Ugh, a figure with a cold face was walking around. All of a sudden, she felt her soul terrified. As she wasn't vigilant, her soul altar suddenly flew out of her head uncontrollably. Cantacy's soul altar had flown away. After less than 10 minutes, Cantacy's soul altar came intact in Shi Yan's and Ziyao's vision. Cantacy's host soul sat on the stormy territory. She was petrified when she saw Shi Yan and Ziyao in their real forms. No, no. Suddenly, she saw the black hole, immediately knowing what was going on in this place. She screamed pathetically while the host soul sent out messages, looking at Shi Yan yearningly and begging him to save her. Unfortunately, Shi Yan didn't have any reaction. Seeing Cantacy in her unexpected misfortune caused by Devour's black hole, he wasn't worried, but happy. A strange light sparkled in his eyes. Whenever the devouring power Upanishad absorbs the soul altars, It will need a little time to refine the energy. The soul altar of stronger experts will need a longer time to refine. Although Devour's the ancestor of this devouring power Upanishad, he can't fix this flaw. When Cantacy's soul is swallowed, he will need time to refine her energy. Once he finishes the refining process, his energy will rocket. At that time, he'll be harder to deal with. We have to seize this chance and hit him hard. Soon, Shi Yin was moved. Seeing Cantacy wiggling hopelessly as she was drawn to the black hole, he immediately sent Ziyao a message. In this world, Ziyao was one of a few people who knew the characteristics of the devouring power Upanishad. As soon as she got it, she nodded. "Save me. Please save me. I'm begging you. I'm a member of the Phantom Clan. I'm Montese's blood sister. Please, for their sake, please save me." Seeing the black hole right in front of her, Cantacy's host soul wiggled hard, trying to send the last message. Shi Yin wore a cold face as if he didn't see anything. Chapter 1600, Racing Against Time. Chapter 1600, Racing Against Time. Cantacy's soul screeching echoed in Ziyao's and Shi Yan's head, but they decided to ignore it. Cantacy's soul altar floated like a big bobbing cloud, eventually sucked into that black hole and disappearing completely. At this moment, Shi Yan's eyes brightened as he focused on that jet-black vortex. Wisps of soul energy moved like swift ropes, thrusting around the black hole. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The black hole emitted a howling wind like a massive, chewing mouth. As Cantacy cultivated the wind power Upanishad, her soul altar had the form of a tornado bringing up loud hissing sounds. The black hole revolved crazily, swallowing Cantacy's soul altar. Afterward, the suction force weakened significantly. "It's time." The galaxy in Shi Yan's eyes brightened as the Skyfall star river in his hand shivered. The brilliant, diamond-like stars spun around, turning into space spears that carried a thick life energy. Together, they darted majestically toward the black hole. Roar! Shi Yin roared while storming forward like the most savage demonic ancestor, his fingernails sharp as cold sabers. Crack! Crack! Space energy congregated into a massive space saber in his hand, looking like a saw. The cold, sharp space lances twisted the void as though they wanted to break this world. The heartbeat thumped like drumbeats. Listening carefully, it sounded like roaring dragons or rolling, grumbling noises of thousands of horses running together. His bearing was enough to swallow the entire world. In this moment, Shi Yan's star, space, and life power Upanishads were urged together. The energy in his absolute beginning blood and body burst out at the same time, as if he wasn't afraid of death, and he hit the black hole immediately. As the black hole had weakened and the diamonds were barring it, Shi Yin threw out a punch. His punch came like an avalanche with a thick life energy, shooting starlight and a space-splitting power. Rumble. Boom. After his punch reached the black hole, it shook hard and the suction force disappeared. Facing the sky and grinning, Shi Yin looked like a giant monster who depended on physical strength alone. The absolute beginning blood boiled in his body, burning his vitality as he was using his top powers of the space, star, and life to attack the black hole. Meanwhile, Ziyao didn't miss a beat either. At the moment Shi Yin moved, her seven-colored jade-like snake body suddenly diverged into 12 jets of light, like 12 meteors crossing the eternal universe, shelling the black hole. An earth-shaking energy emitted from the black hole. At this moment, the void here twisted visibly as if the space couldn't take it anymore. Pfft! The black hole looked like a pressed rubber ball that had already been deformed. It couldn't endure such a powerful attack. After a strange noise, the black hole shattered into billions of shadows, scattering in different directions. Each black shadow had Devour's aura, dark and sinister. Muahahaha. Billions of shadows sneered coldly and maliciously. As Shi Yin and Ziyao felt strange, a shadow entered the devouring power Upanishad origin not far from them. After the black hole dispersed, the shadows shot out disorderly. However, right now, They seemed to find their resting place as they crazily stormed toward the power Upanishad origin, jumping into it one by one. I've risked my life to endure that attack. It hurts, but I finally have the chance to get into the devouring power Upanishad origin. With your clone's power, how can you resist me? After I've fused with the devouring power Upanishad origin, I will eat your clone to reunite my devouring power Upanishad. In this world, in this vast sea of stars, who can defeat me then? Devour's dark laughter came from the shadows as they swarmed toward the power Upanishad origin like a murder of crows. The black hole took them all in. Shi Yin paled, and Ziyao screamed in fear. Not good. He's tricked us. It's gonna be very bad. Devour urged all of his power to create the black hole that could swallow and absorb all creatures, pulling Cantacy's soul altar. Shi Yin had assumed that after Devour had swallowed Cantacy, he must need time to refine her energy, which would leave his body defenseless for a while. Shi Yin and Ziyao understood this disadvantage of the devouring power Upanishad. They thought that they had gotten this chance to hit him hard while he was refining Cantacy. And they actually did that. Unfortunately, after taking in Cantacy's soul altar, Devour had just pretended to refine her. He didn't use the devouring power Upanishad to take her energy in hurriedly. Quite the contrary, he had gathered all of his strength, waiting for Shi Yin and Ziyao to attack him. He endured that attack and seized the chance while the other two didn't notice the power Upanishad origin to divide his soul into millions of wisps using the soul control power Upanishad. Then, all of his soul clones dashed toward the devouring power Upanishad origin at their fastest speed. Currently, all clones of his had entered the devouring power Upanishad origin, and he could reunite his real body there. Devour was the ancestor of evil power Upanishads, and he was born with the seals of devouring and the 8 evil powers. He had cultivated this power Upanishad for billions of years and studied it to the utmost level. At his realm and power, he wouldn't worry when he got into the devouring power Upanishad origin and vied for it with Shi Yan's clone. If Devour gets the devouring power Upanishad origin and swallows your clone, he will have the ultimate devouring power Upanishad. In this world, I'm afraid not many people can defeat him then. Ziyao pulled a stern face. If Desolate has to face him without a power Upanishad origin, I'm not sure even he can win. And I, as I spent time to watch out here, haven't found my suitable power Upanishad origin yet. I know I can't defeat him. It's getting very dangerous. Shi Yan's eyes were dark and ruthless. While Ziyao was talking, his absolute beginning body shrank, returning to his human form. He had to force himself to stay mindful. After a while, his eyes brightened up. It's not that we don't have a chance. After receiving our hit, his soul and power were hurt. My soul clone got into the devouring power Upanishad origin first, so it has the upper hand now. I think it's not sure that we will be completely defeated. Taking a deep breath, he shouted, I don't need you to help me here. You should go find your suitable power Upanishad origin. My real body won't stay here for a long time. My soul clone will try its best to cope with him. Although we can't win, I will try to slow his fusion process. My real body will come to the sea of life over there, and I will take the life power Upanishad origin. When I get it, and even if the clone fails, I'll be strong enough to fight him once. As they couldn't do anything here, their situation wouldn't be good if they both continued to linger. They would be better splitting up and making themselves stronger before Devour could obtain the devouring power Upanishad origin. If they got the suitable power Upanishad origin, even if Devour succeeded to kill Shi Yan's clone, Shi Yan still had a chance to overturn the situation. It was their wisest decision. Ziyao wasn't dumb. Listening to Shi Yan, she nodded and left resolutely, not lingering for even a second. Shi Yan got a hold of himself and connected with the clone, finding that the latter was still running toward the source of endless evil darkness inside the devouring power Upanishad origin. Devour hadn't caught him yet. However, at this moment, so many evil auras and sinister ideas from the inner worlds of countless creatures in the territories still rolled toward his clone. This clone of his was drowned in fierce energy, and it was getting stronger after each second. It was not that his clone couldn't battle Devour for even a second. Pondering for a while, Shi Yan's real body decided to leave toward the sea of life at his max speed. He decided to divide into two flows to take action. Ziyao and Shi Yan had left, but his clone stayed inside the devouring power Upanishad origin, falling into the perpetual darkness. While falling, the clone's acupuncture points opened, connecting to different territories to gather all the evilness into his body. His clone soul followed his wish, urging the devouring power Upanishad, frantically and taking in everything. He could feel his clone, his soul altar, and the 8 evil powers showing their strengths. The devouring power Upanishad origin was like an endless black hole that could connect all territories in this cosmos to the source of evil. After Shi Yan had gotten in there, he was rolled with the flow inside a tunnel. From that moment, the evil thoughts of countless creatures had begun to cover him, hitting his soul and body deeply. However, after he was pulled deeper into the tunnel, all the evil energies and negative emotions disappeared wherever he passed. He had absorbed them into his body and soul. This tunnel seemed not to have an end, and he had just traveled a short distance. However, there was no energy left to be absorbed in the areas he had already passed. The ink-black shadows had come and congregated into one entity at the entrance of the tunnel. It was Devour. As soon as he got in, he tried his best to urge the devouring power Upanishad and swallow all the negative emotions and evil thoughts of creatures in other territories. It was how he strengthened himself, entering the core of evilness. However, he was dumbstruck as he found not even a single beam of energy he could absorb in this entrance. Devour wasn't dumb, and he even had pieces of vague memory about this place. He hovered for a while, and he got the reason shortly after. New. Devour screamed ear-piercingly, thrusting deeper through the dark tunnel as fast as he could. He understood that every second he lingered here, Shi Yan's clone was taking more energy to become stronger. The further Shi Yan got in this tunnel, the more energy he could take from the devouring power Upanishad origin and would be tougher to cope with. If he let Shi Yan get to the deepest area inside the devouring power Upanishad origin, the core of evil, to refine the devouring power Upanishad origin, everything would be too late. Devour had to move as fast as he could. Chapter 1601. Survival of the Fittest. Chapter 1601. Survival of the Fittest. Although Ziyao and Shi Yan left that area, this isolated void still had other bloody fights happening in it. At the location of the water power Upanishad origin, Emperor Sea Shark was fusing with the crystal water drop. He had released his soul consciousness to try and merge with the water power Upanishad origin. The murmuring sounds of the water inside that transparent water drop were pleasant to the ears. If no one came to disturb him, Emperor Sea Shark would have a smooth progress, and he could make the water power Upanishad origin the topmost power Upanishad in his soul altar. But things would never turn as one wished. After Yuan parted with Serene Prison and Rupert, he flew away in his human form, trying to search for the water power Upanishad origin, and finally sensed its energy fluctuations one day. Yuan immediately left everything aside to focus and use all of his power to find the water drop created by water power Upanishad origin. When he arrived, he realized that Emperor Sea Shark was there already, and the other had entered the water power Upanishad origin already. Yuan Zu's face was sinister, his eyes cold and ruthless. Just a little warrior. Dare to vie for the power Upanishad origin with me. You don't want your life. While talking, clear water energy fluctuated from Yuan Zu's body. His human body slowly changed into his real form, but it was thousands of times smaller. His acupuncture points released massive water balls, each of them fulgent and containing an entire immense sea. Shortly, the splashing sounds of water waves arose as Yuan Zu was covered inside a big water ball. He turned into a massive, transparent water ball. With the power of water, he slowly bobbed toward the water power Upanishad origin. Just like Devour, at the moment Yuan was born, he got the seal of water power Upanishad imprinted in his soul. It wasn't wrong to say that he was a life that ascended from the water essence between the heaven and earth. He was the ancestor and the old sage of all water power Upanishads. Since the absolute beginning era, he had never cultivated any other power. He had dedicated his entire life to the water power Upanishad. His body was now a water ball with the supple power of water twirling around. As soon as he got into the water power Upanishad origin, it was like a drop of water entering the sea, without causing a single ripple. Instantly, he had gotten into the water power Upanishad origin. In the immense world of water, Yuan felt the thickest steam he had ever perceived. He felt as if he had returned to the state of puzzled consciousness before he was born. At the same time, even though Emperor Sea Shark had gotten here earlier than Yuan, his body and blood couldn't be compared to Yuan's. As soon as Yuan got in, the strange power of the water power Upanishad origin seemed to recognize a more suitable master. Unexpectedly, it ignored Emperor Sea Shark and came to Yuan. Yuan's soul energy filled the water power Upanishad origin. His terrifying soul consciousness eventually connected with the power Upanishad origin and spotted Emperor Sea Shark, immediately launching an attack. Emperor Sea Shark was wounded severely in just a blink. No matter it was realm, power, age, level of power Upanishad, or power of bloodline, Emperor Sea Shark couldn't compare with Yuan. As the two of them appeared at the same time in the water power Upanishad origin, it seemed to have its own consciousness. It decided to choose Yuan, which spelled tragedy for Emperor Sea Shark. On the other side, after Desolate had killed Hero and gotten the metal power Upanishad origin, his power had increased sharply. He continued to move, not lingering there any longer. He moved to a place nearby without spending a lot of time checking the route. It was a flatland covered with thick dust and soil. The power of the great earth was emitted from it, covering the entire world. After Desolate came here, he wore a calm face, but his eyes were bright. The earth power Upanishad origin of the 5 elements. This place is the essence of earth. I will take this as the second power Upanishad origin. Swoosh, swoosh. Thick dust twirled, creating a natural cage and covering the flatland that ordinary souls or eyes couldn't see through. Desolate now looked different. Although he had just taken in the metal power Upanishad origin not long ago, after a moment of staying here, his aura had already changed. Layers of dust diffused from him. Shortly, he became like that flatland, dust and ashes covering his body along with the simple but heavy energy of earth. His eyes pierced through the thick layer of dust to observe the flatland. The gray-brown flatland didn't have a tuft of grass. Dust and sand covered the entire land under the immense sky. The soul auras were reported to Desolate from 2 corners of the flatland. Desolate checked carefully and roared like a dragon next while disappearing. In the next moment, the flatland of the earth power Upanishad origin shook hard. It seemed like there was a dragon sleeping underground that had just been awakened, and it wanted to destroy everything hindering it. In 2 different corners of the flatland stayed 2 aliens who had followed Sauron here. They looked as though they were made of sand and gravel, their skin of the same tone as the gray-brown flatland. They were the 2 members of the prosperous Earth tribe at the first sky of Ta, cultivating the Earth power Upanishad. The prosperous Earth tribe was similar to the Snow tribe. All of their members cultivated only one power Upanishad. It was in their fate since they were born. The members of the prosperous Earth tribe had absorbed the power of Earth since they were in their mother's wombs. When they were born, they had already had the Earth power Upanishad. On empty land and the vast sea of stars, the prosperous Earth tribe was the son of Earth because they could move underground freely using the power of the great Earth. These 2 members of the prosperous Earth tribe had undergone so many difficulties to get here to obtain the Earth power Upanishad origin. However, they didn't have good luck as they encountered Desolate here. Seeing the terrifying commotion deep in the ground of the flatland, they discolored in fright, but didn't have a clue. While they were frightened, a wave of fierce energy arose from deep underground. The earth caved in furiously while 2 dragons roared and soared up. The dragons opened their mouths and swallowed the 2 in one attempt. Afterward, they returned to the ground through the cracks they had created, disappearing shortly. Not long after that, as the two members of the prosperous Earth tribe were buried, the earthquake subsided. Deep underground, Desolate was quietly urging his power to take the Earth Power Upanishad origin. Rupert, Serene Prison, Edgar, Jinru, and Fande lay parted after they arrived in this area. When they bumped into the others, they were ready to fight. Each of the Power Upanishad origins was unique, and all the warriors in this place were trying their best to search for them. Whenever they found a suitable Power Upanishad origin, they would observe first, because someone with the same Power Upanishad could have had come before them. No one could take it at ease. Bloody battles happened regularly. To become the only one that possessed the Power Upanishad origin, the principle of the Power Upanishad, they had to risk their lives to kill any rival. Battles like that happened in every area which had a Power Upanishad origin. They were fighting due to their greed the ultimate Power Upanishad to death. Parting from Ziyao, Shi Yin left his clone, returning to the Sea of Life of the Life Power Upanishad origin. He had the method to get the Power Upanishad origin. He believed that he could fuse with the Sea of Life this time to attain the ultimate supernatural powers of this Power Upanishad. As he was dashing fast, the Skyfall Star River suddenly sent him a magical vibe. He suddenly stopped, using his soul to feel and observe. After a while, his eyes brightened. He then changed his direction abruptly. After a long journey, he reached a brilliant, immense sea of stars. This place had the most sparkling stars seeming like the purest jade. All souls would be touched by watching this sight. The Skyfall Star River shook hard as soon as Shi Yin got here and immediately turned into a chain of stars, emerging in front of him. In his eyes, the suns, the moons, and the stars changed, making his eyes seem like they held two bright seas of stars. Sensing the star power Upanishad origin in that magnificent and yet mysterious sea of stars, Shi Yin felt his soul sinking as he was walking toward the area. As soon as he was about to get there, a magical but powerful energy emitted from that beautiful galaxy. Sizzle, sizzle. His body sizzled as if it was burning, his soul turning hot. As he was frightened, he got it all of a sudden. Shi Yin halted. He knew he had more than one Power Upanishad in his real body, which was the reason why he couldn't enter the Star Power Upanishad origin yet. He needed to make a clone and extract his Star Power Upanishad, imprinting it into that clone to get into the mysterious sea of stars. That was how he could get the Power Upanishad origin. As soon as he was about to split his body, Power Upanishads, and soul, he spotted a familiar soul energy fluctuation. Shi Yin was surprised. Pondering for a while, he shouted all of a sudden, "Fandalay." As they both cultivated Star Power Upanishad, the resentment between Shi Yin and Fandalay was deep enough. He didn't expect that the other would come to this place and find the Star Power Upanishad origin before him. Congregate. Countless stars flew out of his body, bringing his blood to congregate in front of him. Slowly, they became a clone which looked as though it was made up of broken asteroids. In the next moment, he extracted a wisp of his soul, as well as a part of his sea of consciousness and soul pond, and sent them to the clone's head. Shortly after, the clone had become a warrior cultivating Star Power Upanishad, with starlight fall from his body. All of a sudden, he sank into that galaxy with a pair of star-like eyes. Swish! The Skyfall Star River became a jet of light, following the clone to the sea of stars. As soon as he got in, Fandalay's aura became clear. He navigated, then laughed. "Fandalay, you don't have good luck?" Deep in the sea of stars, a light dot slowly twisted, turning into Fandalay's shape. As soon as Shi Yan's clone entered the galaxy, Fandalay felt him. Hearing Shi Yan's laughter, Fandalay was upset as he screamed indignantly with a pale face, "Shi Yan, you're such an everlasting ghost. Why do I meet you everywhere? Behave and get lost. For you being a member of the Phantom Clan, I won't kill you," Shi Yan shouted coldly. Chapter 1602, Evil Clone. Chapter 1602, Evil Clone. Hovering between the 5 deep blue stars, Fandalay wore a cold face. Jets of light shot from his hands as he was gathering energy, waiting for Yin. Bands of starlight poured from the 5 stars like streams, pouring into his chest. He had been here for a long time, and had fused the energy of the star power Upanishad origin, which had rocketed his god power and his body, making him quite intimidating. His soul consciousness had been ameliorated as well. He had a wonderful feeling as if he was blending with this galaxy. At the moment Yin entered the sea of stars, he could see Yin's energy, sea of consciousness, and even the soul pond clearly. He knew all of Yin's clone stats. He was so surprised when he recognized that no matter it was Yin's physique, god power, or soul, it wasn't really intimidating. Yin wasn't as strong as the time he was in the Phantom Clan's territory. Fandalay was discreetly frightened, but then got cheered up. He thought that Yin had problems with his cultivation or was wounded in a battle. He didn't know that it was just a clone. Although Yin's power was strong and his realm was high, after the first cloning in which he had divided his devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers, his body was weakened. After this current cloning, he had spent his star power Upanishad to the clone, and his overall power was reduced one more time. Of course, he wasn't as strong as he used to be. Unfortunately, his real body couldn't intrude the power Upanishad origin and could only watch from the outside. Compared to my imagination, you're much weaker. Excellent. My chance is coming. Fandalay was so excited that his body quivered. He moved out of a group of stars while brilliant starlight sprinkled on him, entering his body and making him shining in a mysterious way. Being a member of the Phantom Clan, he was really good-looking and carried a natural poise. Under the beautiful starlight, he floated while smiling charmingly. The Skyfall Star River belongs to me. I'd been searching the Cloud Mist territory for so many years for it. Shouldn't you return the Skyfall Star River to its rightful owner? Smiling tenderly, he pointed at the divine weapon which was now in the form of a chain of stars, hovering above Yin's head. Starlight suddenly sparkled on his palm, which made the lines in his palms seem like the trajectory of the stars. Slowly, a massive star map arose from his palm. That star map had a part of mysterious energy from the power Upanishad origin. It was the energy he had exerted a lot of efforts to create lately. The mysterious, immense star map arose as an illusion, slowly snatching toward the Skyfall Star River's star chain. The absolute beginning divine weapon that had fused with Yin's soul shook hard. It seemed to want to join that star map, becoming part of the star power Upanishad origin. Dare to vie with me? Yin was surprised. He scrutinized Fandalay, shaking his head with an indifferent sigh. I had agreed with Manasi and Meiji that I wouldn't come and trouble you. Because you are a member of the Phantom Clan, for the growth of the clan, they had implored me not to kill you. Pausing for a while, his eyes went cold. You and Cantasy didn't have good fortune, indeed. It's your fate to die. Devour swallowed Cantasy in his black hole form, who is turned into ashes. I watched her die, and you, I didn't want to attack you, but you wanted to stay and trouble me. I can only say sorry to Montesi and Meiji. Stop! While hissing, Yin touched his glabella and a mass of stars emerged above his head, where the stars rolled and arrayed in the form of an imposing bear. The star bear was actually the power of constellation. It pounded its chest and roared, starlight sparking everywhere. The sparking starlight beams created many fading shadows, entering the Skyfall Star River with Yin's soul energy. Although this clone had only a part of Yin's god power, blood, power Upanishad, and soul, and it looked weak, it actually had the realm of the host body, the third sky of Territory Ancestor Realm. Fandalay was only at the first sky of Territory Ancestor Realm. Perhaps the clone and Fandalay were equally strong, but in terms of the realm and the deep knowledge of star power Upanishad, no matter how hard Fandalay tried, he would never catch up with Yin. The Skyfall Star River halted as Yin called it. The giant star bear roared and howled, passing the Skyfall Star River and furiously dashing toward Fandalay. In Fandalay's eyes, the sea of stars in front of him caved in as it was attacked by the angry roar. Shockwaves struck his soul altar instantly, leaving him mentally collapsed. He then saw the stars in the sky fall, swallowing him entirely. As this star power Upanishad origin was really vast, and each planet in it had an immense power, Fandalay, at his realm, would need a lot of time to absorb this sea of stars. Actually, he had found this place very early, but the fusion process wasn't smooth. He couldn't refine much star energy anyway. He had just linked his soul with these 5 planets. However, when Shi Yin began to use his star power Upanishad and the Skyfall Star River to create the giant bear with the constellation power, the stars in the sky were like open eyes, all staring at him. Just like that, millions of starlight beams congregated. In this moment, Shi Yin had become the focus of the starlights. It seemed he had established a strong connection with each star in the sky. Each power Upanishad origin had a core operation rule. It would proactively choose the fittest one to fuse with. Creatures at high realm always had deep understanding of the power Upanishad, which made them easy to get the approval from the power Upanishad origin. This situation was the same when Desolate got into Hero's Gold Mountain, and Yuan got Emperor Sea Shark's Water Drop. Desolate had a higher realm than Hero. After so many years, his understanding of the metal power Upanishad had become exquisite. As soon as he got in there, he got the power to expel Hero. Similarly, Yuan had dedicated his entire body to practice the water power Upanishad. He could be deemed the ancestor of water power Upanishad. As soon as he got into that water drop, the water power Upanishad origin could feel the familiar aura, so it initially wanted to fuse with Yuan and evict Emperor Sea Shark, who had arrived there first. The power Upanishad origin didn't care who came first. It only appreciated the high realm and profound and thorough knowledge of the power Upanishad. Desolate and Yuan came later, but with their deep knowledge of the power Upanishad and the realm at the peak of territory ancestor realm, they could obtain the approval of the power Upanishad origin, making the power Upanishad origin choose them proactively. And now, since Fandalay was only at the first sky of territory ancestor realm, although he was here for a long time, his fusion was very difficult. All was because of his low realm. Although he was just a clone with the star power Upanishad, Shi Yin still had the 3rd sky of territory ancestor realm. Moreover, he came with a divine weapon with the star attribute. As soon as he urged the star power Upanishad, the star power Upanishad origin here was stimulated. Starlight fell from the sky. The star power Upanishad origin had a new decision. No doubt that Fandalay would be the poor, expelled one this time. By the time he got a hold of himself from the star attack, he found the connection he had tried very hard to establish with the 5 planets was cut off. The giant star bear came bellowing and roaring as it brutally tore his territory. The Skyfall Star River now had new star power, coming forcefully with the power that could erase the seal. Fandalay lifted his head, his face ash-gray and hopeless. His spirit was defeated, and he didn't have anything to resist with. He was predestined to fail, all because of his low realm. A savage soul tornado arose and dashed through the tunnel of the devouring power Upanishad origin. Devour had gathered his evil power, using his abundant soul energy to come. Boom! The endless negative emotions and evil powers came in unceasing waves, washing his soul and body. At that moment, the savage Devour halted, thrilled. He had finally reached the part of the tunnel where negative energies hadn't been completely refined. It meant Shi Yin wasn't far from here. Devour changed, turning into 9 shadows which carried the devouring power and the 8 evil powers respectively. He relaxed and the 9 shadows frantically took in the remnant of negative energies in the tunnel. Meanwhile, Shi Yin's clone jutted his head out of a deeper section of the tunnel. Devour had finally found Shi Yin. At this moment, this clone of Shi Yin that was focusing on taking in the evil energy opened his eyes. This evil clone had a pair of blood-red eyes, his face savage and crazy. Evil energy twirled around him unceasingly. At first glance, Devour was shocked. Damn, how much evil energy has he absorbed? Shi Yin was now more terrifying than his host body, Devour thought. This evil clone of Shi Yin had entered the source of all evilness in this world. 720 acupuncture points in his body had connected with all major territories in the world, which had gathered all the evil energies and thoughts in innumerable creatures living there. Crazily taking in without a limit, this evil clone was filled with ruthless, hot-tempered, bloodthirsty, and intimidating feelings. The thick, evil, murderous aura from him could represent all the negative thoughts and will of creatures in this world. He was now the god of evil that had intimidated even Devour. "I've been waiting for you for a long, long time." This evil body licked his lips heartlessly. From his crimson eyes, 2 trickles of blood dropped, which gave him a fearsome look. The trickles of blood had a terrifying erosive power that immediately left 2 horrible wounds on his handsome, sculpted face. The 2 wounds were deep to his bone, making his face seem terrifying and savage. Roar. It seemed that all creatures in the world heard this destructive roar echo deep in their souls. All the evil energies in the dark tunnel rose, gathering on Shi Yan's clone. At this moment, this clone was even more terrifying and intimidating than the real body. Peerless intimidation. Chapter 1603, Swallow Each Other. Chapter 1603, Swallow Each Other. Looking at Shi Yan's evil clone in front of him, Devour felt regretful. No matter what, he could have never predicted that the other could be so fierce. He felt that he shouldn't have let this evil clone reach the devouring black hole that early, which had given him the chance to absorb the thick, evil, negative energies in this tunnel first. At that moment, due to an unimaginable amount of negative energies the clone had taken in, his terrifying aura was much more intense than the real body's, giving Devour a terrible headache. The endless negative energy gushed from every direction. Shi Yan's savage face slowly had a layer of dark air covering it, made up of the extremely evil energy. His crimson eyes gazed at Devour's shadows while the negative emotions gushed like water from a broken dam, hitting Devour's shadows torrentially. "I acknowledge your achievement. You're really strong now. However, your power Upanishad comes from me. Do you really think that you can use my power to destroy me?" Devour's voice arose in the dark like shrieking ghosts and wailing souls, capable of raising goosebumps on people's skin. There were 9 shadows in total. As he was talking, 8 of the shadows moved, surrounding one shadow in the center. Ripples of evil energies containing destruction, despair, darkness, and the other evils were released. The 8 evil powers twisted together like a rope, creating a strong, pure, and of course, intimidating power. The immense negative energy released by Shi Yan was hit by the rings of 8 evil energies and got pushed aside, unable to reach the shadow in the center. "I will show you my territory," Devour smirked coldly. Thick, black clouds emerged, revealing a territory of coldness, brute, frenzy, and isolation above his head. That world changed slowly. The sky was dyed black, as if someone had used ink to fill it while the ground was a bloody land. At first glimpse, the place was filled with gory, dismembered bodies. Death, destruction, despair, darkness, chaos, corpse chi, and spooky ghost lanterns ruled this world, appearing in every corner. As long as it was a creature with a pure heart, its soul would shatter after just a glance at that world. It was the most terrifying territory in this world, the fountainhead of evil in Devour's inner world. He had guarded this place for years, not letting even the members of the devouring clan visit this place. No creature was born in that world, and actually, it shouldn't even exist. Even when Ziyao faced Devour's territory, her soul quivered in fright. She had tried using her holy, purifying divine light to filter and clean that filthy, evil world, but didn't succeed. Between the heaven and earth of this vast sea of stars, no creature could stand still in front of Devour's territory, no matter how strong it was. Desolate was the god of war in the absolute beginning era, the strongest warrior at that time. However, when even he faced Devour, he was afraid of the latter's territory. Desolate didn't have any means to ensure that his soul wouldn't be affected by it. Devour's territory could arise and magnify the evil in someone's heart, making him lose himself in that extreme world. All creatures with a soul would have very complicated 7 emotions and 6 desires, all having an evil facet of their existence. As long as they had even a wisp of evil thought, this territory could affect them easily. And at this moment, Shi Yan's evil clone was in an extreme state. This clone carried Shi Yan's expectations with the imprint of devouring power Upanishad and the 8 evil powers. It also contained all of Shi Yan's evilness in his inner world. After a period of constantly taking in evil energy, this clone of Shi Yan could be now deemed as the evilest creature in this world. Shi Yan didn't have even a wisp of humane disposition in his heart. This clone of his was purely evil. As he was watching Devour's territory, his mind wasn't affected at all. On the contrary, he laughed excitedly and loudly. The power I used couldn't affect you because we share the same origin. Similarly, how could your territory affect me? Pounding his chest, Shi Yan pulled a ferocious face, grinning fiendishly. I have no good thought in my heart. This body of mine is made of evilness in my inner world. I'm the devil. Devour's territory floated up from his head, flying toward Shi Yan. In response, Shi Yan crackled heartlessly, touching his glabella. Instantly, a black hole emerged and turned into a massive vortex, spinning frantically. When you and I are fighting, the 8 evil powers are of no use. Only the devouring power Upanishad will decide the winner. You and I, one of us will be destroyed to complete the other. You swallow me, or I will swallow you. It's the best way to fight between us. The black hole flew out of his glabella, looking exactly like the devouring power Upanishad origin where they were staying in this dark void. While Devour pulled a dark face, Shi Yan urged his power again. 8 islands of the 8 evil powers flew out, circling the black hole. He had forced the tier of power Upanishad in his soul altar, gathering all of the power to operate the black hole. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The tremendous suction force filled each corner of the world as the flood of negative energy in this tunnel gushed torrentially. You're right. The result of the battle between us will end with either you or me dying. We're going to swallow each other. It's the best fighting method, indeed. Devour recognized that his territory wasn't effective in the fight against Shi Yan. Their power Upanishad, and evil mind were almost the same. In this situation, using the 8 evil powers to attack each other wasn't really effective on either of them, since the thicker negative energy couldn't affect their minds. Only devouring could finish all of this, completely destroying one of them. Devour's clones gathered, turning into a massive black hole. This black hole was identical with Shi Yan's, and even the 8 gory islands spinning around looked alike. Come here. Shi Yan roared crazily as the evil clone leaped up, then plunged into his black hole. It was like the tongue of a black demon. Hovering in the black hole, Shi Yan watched another black hole in front of him, feeling the energy emit from Devour. Shi Yan's clone suddenly shivered intensely as the extremely thick negative energy gushed from his acupuncture points, which enlarged the black hole significantly. Boom! After his black hole had expanded, it attacked proactively. Explosions echoed when the black hole opened like the mouth of a demon, trying to swallow Devour's black hole. In the next instant, Devour's black hole and the 8 bloody islands were swallowed completely. The soul power, as well as the bloodthirsty and chaotic thoughts Devour had accumulated for billions of years, erupted like a volcano. Together, they expanded inside Shi Yan's massive black hole, which swelled up like an overinflated balloon. Shi Yan immediately felt the evil, negative energy, which was more brutal, and felt like the most terrifying bomb in this world. It was about to detonate in his body, smashing his entire being. Shi Yan discolored in fear as he immediately urged the devouring power Upanishad to digest Devour's fierce power. However, as soon as he took action, he recognized a suction force that was enough to swallow the entire world rumblingly emerge from inside his body. At this moment, he felt so strange, as if his body was being nibbled at from the inside. It seemed that a hungry demon was just born inside him, which was greedily biting and chewing off his blood, flesh, internal organs, and bones. It wanted to eat him from the inside. He suddenly understood one thing. The ones he had swallowed using the black hole while his devouring power Upanishad was working had to experience the feelings he felt right now. The feeling of being eaten up little by little. Oh! Another strange feeling arose as his soul that made him joyful. It was the wonderful feeling when the devouring power Upanishad was gathering energy. His devouring power Upanishad was frantically working to swallow everything. It felt like he had a big mouth that was enjoying delicious meals. It was a familiar, satisfying feeling indeed. He was also swallowing devour. His body was chewed off while his devouring power Upanishad was taking in devour's energy. They were swallowing each other. Shortly, Shi Yin realized that devour was having the same experience and feeling he had just got. The other was in the same situation as his power was being digested. The two of them were like two beasts biting and tearing each other to eat pieces of flesh they could take. They both had to bear wounds and refill their power at the same time. This was the harshest battle of endurance. Oh good. Still good. As he understood, he wasn't tense anymore. He relaxed the burden in his mind, focusing his power, mind, and soul to control the devouring power Upanishad. This battle would take a long time. Who would survive to control the origin of all evilness in this world with the devouring power Upanishad origin? This battle would give the answer. Shi Yan's clone's situation in this battle was different from the host body which had entered the star power Upanishad origin. In this place, he was neither in a disadvantageous nor an advantageous situation. The devouring power Upanishad origin didn't favor either one of them. After Devour entered, it still didn't give up on Shi Yin completely, because the devouring power Upanishad in this clone came from Devour, and was a genuine evil power Upanishad. At the same time, he was at the third sky of territory ancestor realm, which wasn't lower than Devour. This body was created by Shi Yan's absolute beginning blood, and it had all of Shi Yan's evil thoughts. Moreover, Shi Yan's clone had come here earlier, which had given him time to collect a large amount of evil power and fill the gap with Devour. No matter it was realm, power, bloodline, or understanding of the power Upanishad, this clone wasn't less powerful than Devour. All of these had made the devouring power Upanishad origin consider him at the same level with Devour. Thus, it didn't favor either of them. This battle was of two equal powers. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.